Chapter 183. Wang Daoyuan and the others chased them to the foot of the mountain, but they didn't dare to continue the chase. After all, there were still dozens of demon beasts that were scared out of their wits by the array formation. If they were chased too far, they would turn around and fight to the death. Wang Daoyuan and the others couldn't defeat dozens of demon beasts without the protection of the array formation and the demon annihilation crossbows. The battle on the east side of the mountain had ended, but there were still demon beasts on the other three sides. The black ape ordered the other demon beasts that were good at climbing to attack the other three sides of Crouching Tiger Mountain. There were also demon annihilation crossbows on the other three sides. In addition to the steep mountain, it wasn't easy for the demon beasts to reach the top. The array formation covered a height of 300 meters from the top of the mountain. The agile demon beasts couldn't avoid the array formation's attacks. The demon beasts on the east side fled, so the array formation was used to deal with them. When everyone returned to the top of the mountain, the demon beasts on the south, west and north sides had all been dealt with. Yang Zhiqing closed the array formation and walked to everyone with a smile. This victory is all thanks to Daoyu, especially Wang Daoyuan. If it weren't for the whip that broke the black ape's spell, there wouldn't be many demon annihilation crossbows left. At that time, even the gold fiend soul severing array wouldn't have much of an effect on the demon beasts. Little friend Wang deserves the most credit. The underworld sect will reward you handsomely after we defeat the demon beasts. Wang Daoyuan naturally didn't care about the underworld sect's reward. What would the underworld sect be willing to give? Give him a high-level cultivation technique or spell? Help the Wang clan rebuild the myriad water origin array? Spiritual items that could help in establishing the Violet Palace realm? Or a flying warship for the Wang clan? Apart from that, Wang Daoyuan didn't lack anything. He still had more than 10 foundation establishment pills, and all the spiritual ingredients for the foundation establishment pills were stored in the interspatial ring. What the Netherworld sect could offer was nothing more than spirit stones, shops, magic tools and the like. But even if he didn't care, he still had to put on a front. Thank you, Senior Yang. The Wang clan is a subsidiary clan of the Underworld sect and a part of Qingli County. It's our duty to resist the demon beasts. We don't dare to ask for rewards. Yang Zhiqing praised the Wang family for their righteousness and hoped that the Wang family could continue to work hard for the Underworld sect. The Underworld sect would not mistreat loyal families. After some small talk, everyone began to meditate to recover their spiritual energy. Although the battle with the demonic beasts didn't last long, everyone was fighting with all their might, so they still consumed a lot of energy. Yang Zhiqing had been controlling the array to attack, so he hadn't consumed much of his spiritual energy. He began to comfort the Qi refinement cultivators who were controlling the demon extermination crossbows and gave them some healing pills. In this battle, the casualties of these Qi refinement cultivators were not small. This was because the demon extermination crossbows they controlled were too much of a threat to the demonic beast. Therefore, the demonic beast's long-range magic attacks were mainly aimed at them. Of the 35 Qi refinement cultivators on the eastern side, 15 had died in battle and all of them were injured. Of the 15 Qi refinement cultivators on the other three sides of the mountaintop, 6 had died in battle. Nearly half of the foundation establishment cultivators were killed, but not a single one of them died. After recovering his spiritual power, Wang Daoyuan continued to ride Yun Yi outside to observe the enemy. Of course, this was just an excuse. Crouching Tiger Mountain was only 100 miles away from Yellowstone Peak, and there was nothing in between. With the eyesight of the foundation establishment cultivators, although it was not enough to see the appearance of every demonic beast, but seeing the huge horde of demonic beasts, there was no problem at all. He wanted to see where the descendant of the horned thunder ape was. At the same time, he wanted to see if there were any high-value mutants in the horde. He didn't dare to get too close to the horde of demonic beasts and stopped more than 10 miles away. If he was too close, if a Tier 2 superior grade demonic beast with a fast speed and a long-range offensive innate spell appeared in the horde, he would be doomed. The quality of this group of demonic beasts was still very high. He discovered many mutants, but unfortunately they were all Tier 2 superior grade demonic beasts. He could still try to capture Tier 2 superior grade demonic beasts. He didn't even dare to think about Tier 2 superior grade demonic beasts. If he encountered ordinary Tier 2 superior grade demonic beasts, he could only run, let alone mutants. Wang Daoyuan flew around the horde of demonic beasts as if he was choosing livestock. Some Tier 2 superior grade demonic beasts were unhappy. They were the masters of a region in the heaven/mountain range, who could tolerate being treated like livestock. A few Tier 2 superior grade demonic beasts roared at Wang Daoyuan. Yun-Yi felt that she had been provoked and let out a loud tiger roar. Those few demonic beasts were stunned at that moment. Wang Daoyuan was also somewhat helpless. Previously on Crouching Tiger Mountain, when the demonic beasts charged, why didn't you shout? It didn't matter if your master was beaten, but you couldn't tolerate someone shouting at you. He found the black ape with the horned thunder ape bloodline in the horde of demonic beasts. The demonic beasts were angry, so he did not dare to continue provoking them. He turned and flew towards Yellowstone Peak. However, he did not enter Yellowstone Peak. Yang Zhiqing had already sent a message to inform him of the battle situation on Crouching Tiger Mountain. There was no need to do anything unnecessary. He only greeted them and flew towards the northwest. He wanted to see if there were any high-value demonic beasts outside Jade Bamboo Peak. Jade Bamboo Peak was not bare like Yellowstone Peak and Crouching Tiger Mountain. It was filled with green pines and green bamboo. The bamboo planted on the peak was the green jade bamboo. The spirit vein here was of the wood attribute and was especially suitable for the growth of the green jade bamboo. Jade Bamboo Peak was also the place that produced the most green jade bamboo in the entire Qingli Prefecture. At this time, the demonic beast horde was attacking Jade Bamboo Peak. This place was a middle-grade Tier 2 spirit vein after all. The demonic beasts attacking the mountain were more than Crouching Tiger Mountain, a total of more than 300. The number of Tier 2 superior-grade demonic beasts was also much more. There were also mutants among them, but they were similarly all Tier 2 superior-grade demonic beasts. Wanting to capture them was simply impossible. The array formation on Jade Bamboo Peak was not weak either. After a group of demonic beasts attacked, all kinds of aggressive plants grew out of thin air on the ground. Some were even highly poisonous, disgusting the demonic beast. Very soon the demonic beasts retreated in defeat. They also did not attempt to attack Jade Bamboo Peak anymore. Instead, they directly returned to the bottom of Yellowstone Peak and met up with the large group of demonic beasts. At the bottom of Yellowstone Peak, after the demonic beasts met up, a white tiger walked to the front. The spirit energy waves emitted by this white tiger were clearly much stronger than the other Tier 2 superior grade demonic beasts. It was not far from breaking through to Tier 3. It should be the temporary beast king of this group of demonic beasts. It let out a few low growls at the demonic beast horde. The demonic beasts no longer attacked Yellowstone Peak. Instead, they circled around the two sides of the peak and continued to advance towards the west. The Netherworld sect's original goal was to set up array formations on Yellowstone Peak, Jade Bamboo Peak, and Crouching Tiger Peak to fight a war of attrition and completely exhaust this group of demonic beasts. Generally, demonic beast hordes that did not have Tier 3 demonic beasts leading them were especially stubborn. When they encountered an obstacle, they would not give up until they attacked. They did not expect to encounter a mutant who actually knew to change targets. This time, everyone on Yellowstone Peak was dumbfounded, especially the clans in the central part of Qingli Prefecture. They were as anxious as ants on a hot pan. The northwest was their territory. There were not many preparations there and could not withstand the demonic beast horde's scourge. Ordinary clans only had Tier 2 array formations protecting the main peak. If the Foundation establishment cultivators here went over to provide support, they could still defend. But the other spirit mountains without Tier 2 array formations did not have time to set up array formations. They could only allow the demonic beasts to wreak havoc. Most importantly, most of the clans behind them did not protect their ordinary clansmen. If they could not stop these demonic beasts, many of the clans in the central part of Qingli Prefecture would probably only have the main peak left. The businesses and clansmen outside the main peak would all be destroyed by the demonic beasts. Chapter 184. More than 30 Foundation establishment cultivators from the central region of Qingli County were as anxious as ants on a hot pan, asking Yang Ziyuan for orders. They requested Yang Ziyuan to send out cultivators to chase after the demonic beasts. They couldn't let the demonic beasts continue to wreak havoc. A few young and impetuous Foundation establishment cultivators even disobeyed orders and directly went to stop the demonic beasts. Yang Ziyuan hurriedly comforted them. "Dao, please calm down. The demonic beasts have suffered greatly at the 3 spiritual mountains. There are at most 600 demonic beasts left. More than half of them are injured. The demonic beasts can't advance too quickly. The Kong clan to the west of the Qin clan is more than 1,000 li away. The demonic beasts will need at least half a day to reach there. Right now the situation isn't so critical. Let's discuss countermeasures first. We only have 90 foundation establishment cultivators. If we don't think of countermeasures, we'll all die in battle. It won't be of any use. Leave a few people to defend the other 2 spiritual mountains. Gather the other foundation establishment cultivators and discuss countermeasures. Wang Daoyuan was just outside Yellow Rock Peak. He didn't need to return to Crouching Tiger Mountain and directly landed on Yellow Rock Peak. After everyone had gathered, Yang Ziyuan asked, "The demonic beasts have bypassed Yellow Rock Peak and continued to advance west. How should we deal with them? Fellow Taoists present here, regardless of age or cultivation level, feel free to speak your mind." A young-looking 4th-level foundation establishment cultivator stood up and said, "How else can we deal with them? We'll chase after them together. These demonic beasts can't fly. We'll fly on our swords in the air and use magic to smash them." This person was more rash and didn't have any schemes. Another young-looking 5th-level foundation establishment cultivator said, "It's too dangerous to charge directly. The demonic beast's long-range magic isn't to be trifled with. I think Daoyou's Yun-Yi Tiger isn't bad. It can be used to attract the demonic beast's attention and reduce the casualties of Daoyu." This person was called Kong Tiancheng, a member of the Kong clan. The demonic beasts were heading towards the Kong clan. The Kong clan's ancestor was the disciple of the Netherworld sect's external branch Sifu elder. He had already passed away. Although the external branch Sifu elder didn't put the Kong clan in his eyes. However, when the Kong family was established, they had offended many of the old families. If they wanted to gain a foothold, they could only cling to the thighs of the foreign family. If they had the chance, they would discuss the old family. Wang Daoyuan asked, "What about my Yun-Yi Tiger?" Kong Tiancheng said disdainfully, "Just a beast." Wang Daoyuan didn't get angry and instead smiled. "Senior Yang, this one suffered some internal injuries when fighting with the monster beast and will need to rest for 2 days. The foundation establishment cultivators of the old clans in the northern part of Qingli County also claimed to be injured and requested to rest for 2 days. The beast horde only threatened the central region of Qingli Prefecture. The cultivators in the northern region of Qingli Prefecture came all the way here to support the central region, yet you still played tricks on them. Who could take this lying down?" He was already giving the Yang family face if he didn't leave immediately. 2 days was more than enough time for the beast hordes to destroy the Kong family. Most of the old families in the north didn't want to do it anymore, and Yang Ziyuan didn't dare to force them to do it. This would damage the relationship between the Yang family and the other families. In any case, everyone only wanted to rest for 2 days. The Kong family also had foundation establishment cultivators and a mountain protecting formation so they could hold on for a while. In 2 days, the beast horde would at most take down the Kong family, and they wouldn't have enough time to attack the next family. Other than the few families bordering the Kong family, the other local families were also happy to watch the show. No matter how noisy the conflict between factions was, there was still a time. Facing the beast horde and still thinking about tricking the enemy faction, they deserved to die. Continuing like this wasn't a solution. Yang Ziyuan asked Liang Jiaxing, "Liang Daoyu, what do you think?" He wanted the Liang family to take the lead and call on the foundation establishment cultivators to help the Kong family. Right now, the Liang family only wanted to be a grandson and recuperate. How could they have the leisure to care about the Kong family? Liang Jiaxing ignored Kong Tiancheng's pleading gaze, saying, "Since everyone Daoyu is injured, then rest for 2 days." If the Liang family didn't take the lead, the Yang family didn't need to care about the foreign families. It wasn't worth offending all the families in the northern part of Qingli Prefecture for the Kong family. The Kong family being razed to the ground by the beast horde had nothing to do with the Yang family. As long as the beast horde was successfully destroyed, the Yang family's ancestor would have done a meritorious deed in the underworld sect. What did it matter if a few families were destroyed? Yang Ziyuan smiled. "Since everyone says so, then rest for 2 days and fight again 2 days later." Kong Tiancheng panicked and hurriedly begged for help. "Senior Yang, Senior Liang, please save the Kong family." A few neighboring families were afraid that if the Kong family was destroyed, they would be implicated. They also begged for leniency. Yang Ziyuan had no choice. Kong Tiancheng was too dishonest. No one wanted to care. Helpless, he could only say, "Why don't you Dao Yu go and help the Kong family first? The other Dao Yu are injured. Wait until they recover, then go and help." The families around the Kong family didn't have any objections. As long as the demon beasts didn't attack their territory, they were fine with helping out. Kong Tianqing was completely isolated and helpless. He could only rush back to the family's spirit mountain with a few Foundation establishment cultivators who were willing to help. The other Foundation establishment cultivators rested at Yellowstone Peak for 2 days. 2 days later, 3 people stayed at each of the Qin family's 3 mountains. The others went to the Kong family's Scattered Stone Peak. When they arrived at Scattered Stone Peak, they saw more than 300 demon beasts besieging the Scattered Stone Peak's defensive formation. The other demon beasts were separately destroying various properties. The Kong family, whether cultivators or mortals, had suffered heavy losses. The few Foundation establishment cultivators who came to help the Kong family had also suffered heavy injuries. At this time, the Foundation establishment cultivators on Scattered Stone Peak were as excited as if they had seen their parents when they saw reinforcements. When the demon beasts saw dozens of cultivators, they didn't continue fighting and retreated from Scattered Stone Peak. The other demon beasts that were destroying everywhere also gathered together. They went around Scattered Stone Peak and continued to advance westward. The temporary beast king of the demon beast horde was quite intelligent. It didn't fight head-on. When it saw many people, it left in a group. If this continued, wouldn't it bring disaster to all the families in the central part of Qingli County? As for countermeasures, no one was a fool. They all knew what to do, but no one dared to say it out loud. The best strategy was to kill the beast king with all their strength. Once the beast king died, no other demon beasts could convince the entire beast horde. The entire beast horde would immediately disperse. It wouldn't be difficult for everyone to defeat them one by one. But these 600 demon beasts that scattered in all directions would cause huge losses to the local families. Whoever suggested this idea would offend the majority of the families in the central part of Qingli County. The Foundation establishment cultivators who came with the Yang family were naturally not in a hurry. In any case, the demon beasts couldn't reach the northern part of Qingli County. If the local families didn't step forward, the foreign cultivators would naturally be happy to watch the show. When the demon beasts left Scattered Stone Peak, Kong Tianqing saw that his family's territory was in a mess. He lost more than half of his clansmen. His heart was full of resentment. He didn't hate himself for courting death. Instead, he hated Wang Daoyuan for messing with him. He hated the Yang family and Liang family for not helping. He hated the local families for not helping. If he wanted to take revenge on the Wang, Yang and Liang family, the Kong family was too far away to do anything. They also didn't have the strength to take revenge. They could only take revenge on the local families who didn't help. Thus he suggested to Yang Xuan, "Senior Yang, it's not a good idea to continue fighting like this. Why don't we find a chance to kill the Beast King first and let the beast horde scatter? We can then defeat them one by one." Chapter 185. Kong Tianqing also threw caution to the wind. The Kong family wasn't well-liked to begin with. When there were too many debts, there was no need to worry. When there were too many lice, there was no need to bite. It didn't matter if there were some new enmity. He had nothing to lose. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan and the others all revealed smiling faces. It was easy to handle with someone taking the lead. Everyone didn't want to waste time like this, but they also didn't want to offend people. Now that someone took the lead, everyone was naturally happy to see it happen. The Foundation establishment cultivators of the native families all heaved a sigh of relief when they heard this. They also knew in their hearts that with less than 100 Foundation establishment cultivators, if they wanted to pacify the beast tide, they could only kill the Beast King and make the beast herd fall apart. If they continued to delay, the ones to suffer losses would still be their native families. Yang Xuan naturally didn't want to delay. Since someone suggested it, he hurriedly agreed. He nodded and said, "Daoyu's words are reasonable. I wonder if Daoyu has any objections?" Everyone was waiting for someone to say this, so they naturally had no objections. Yang Xuan struck while the iron was hot and said, "Since there are no objections, then let's talk about how to deal with the Beast King. The Beast King of this beast herd should be in existence about to break through to rank 3. Otherwise, it wouldn't have such high intelligence. In addition, the demonic beasts of this beast tide all came from the depths of the heaven/mountain range. There are many mutants with high-level demonic beast bloodlines. For this beast king to be able to stand out, its strength naturally far surpasses those of the same rank. I'm afraid that everyone present isn't its match. It won't be easy for us to kill such a powerful demonic beast in the midst of a horde of demonic beasts. Do you have any good ideas? An old native Foundation establishment cultivator said, less than 200 miles west from here is the Crimson Sand River. The Crimson Sand River flows from east to west into the Qingli River. This area is mostly a tributary of the Crimson Sand River. We only need to drive the beast herd to the intersection of the Crimson Sand River and its tributaries. At that time the beast herd will face the water. If we want to continue forward, we can only cross the river. When the demonic beasts cross the river, we can easily cause chaos and cause the beast herd to scatter. At that time the Beast King will definitely stand up to maintain the situation. If we take the opportunity to kill the Beast King, it will be difficult for the other demonic beasts to quickly rescue. To the beast tide that was to the wind to deal with, it was indeed a good idea. Since no one had any objections, the next step was to assign tasks. Who would harass the beast hordes and who would kill the Beast King would need to be carefully arranged. Yang Ziyuan didn't know what everyone was good at, so he asked the cultivators present to recommend themselves. He could choose between harassing the beast horde or killing the Beast King. It was Wang Daoyuan's turn to choose. Naturally, he wanted to harass the beasts crossing the river. The water dragon technique was indeed suitable for this task. It was too dangerous to fight to the death with a Beast King that was about to break through to rank 3. It was safer to harass the beast horde. All 80 people present had made their choice. In the end, only a dozen or so people were willing to kill the Beast King. To kill a Beast King, one had to kill it quickly. Otherwise, if the other demonic beasts came to support, the decapitation operation would become a forceful attack. If they wanted to kill them quickly, the number of people they had was clearly not enough. Left with no choice, Yang Ziyuan could only force all cultivators above the 6th level of Qi refinement to participate in the killing of the Beast King. Now there were more than 30 people who participated in the killing of the Beast King. Yang Zhiqing said to Wang Daoyuan, "Little friend Wang, although your cultivation level isn't high, the power of your whip is not small. When we were defending Crouching Tiger Mountain, if you hadn't broken the Black Ape's Thunderball with one whip, we wouldn't have been able to defeat the beast horde so easily. The power of your whip is even stronger than the ultimate moves of many 6th level Foundation establishment cultivators. Moreover, the speed of your whip is very fast. It can be used to interrupt the Beast King's spell casting. Why don't you also participate in the killing of the Beast King?" Wang Daoyuan was a little unsure of what he wanted to do. Was he trying to drag him into the water and attract hatred for him, or was he purely trying to increase the success rate of killing the Beast King? A cultivator from the Liang family on the side interrupted, "I've long heard that Dao Yu obtained the inheritance of an ancient cultivator and learned a set of brilliant 5-element techniques. This whip technique is also an ancient cultivator's inheritance, right? To be able to successfully reach Foundation establishment with 5 spirit veins, it seems that ancient cultivator also left behind a lot of Foundation establishment pills. I wonder if Dao Yu can tell us how many Foundation establishment pills there are in total?" Wang Daoyuan was actually very grateful to this person. Next, he would arrange for 8th uncle and Jiugu to reach Foundation establishment. This sentence was simply an excuse for him. However, he couldn't directly admit it. He sneered and said, "I heard that the Liang family's ancestor has a good relationship with the elders of the Cruel Sun Palace. May I ask, how many friends does the Liang family's ancestor have in the Cruel Sun Palace?" When the Liang family members heard this, they immediately stood up and used their aura to suppress Wang Daoyuan. Liang Jiaxing questioned, "Wang Daoyuan, what do you mean by this?" Wang Daoyuan released Yun Yi and said, "I mean what you Liang family members mean." Seeing that Yun Yi was released, the Liang family members were afraid that Yun Yi would let out another tiger roar and make a fool of themselves, so they immediately withdrew their aura. As the leader of the resistance against the beast tide, Yang Ziyuan naturally couldn't watch them fight among themselves. He said, "We are now discussing how to kill the Beast King. Don't talk about other things here. Since little friend Wang has a powerful killing move, let's attack the Beast King together." After that, the people involved in besieging the Beast King carefully discussed the order of attacking the Beast King, as well as the remedial measures in case of an unexpected situation. In the end, Wang Daoyuan's task was to interrupt the Beast King's casting process when it was about to launch an offensive spell. After the preparations for the plan were completed, everyone left Rubble Peak on their swords and followed closely behind the demonic beasts. The demonic beasts were unmoved and continued to advance to the west. As long as human cultivators approached, they would use long-range spells to attack. 2 hours later, the demonic beasts arrived at the intersection of the Crimson Sand River and a tributary. Beast tides had always been straightforward. As long as they weren't scattered, they would always fight in one direction. Terrestrial demonic beasts didn't like to enter the water. Faced with the boundless water of the 100 Rivers Lake, they naturally didn't dare to cross it. However, the Crimson Sand River's width couldn't be compared to the 100 Rivers Lake. At the Crimson Sand River, the demonic beasts only paused for a moment before a few second-rank upper-grade demonic beasts took the lead and began to cross the river to the west. After the leading second-rank upper-grade demonic beasts crossed the Crimson Sand River, the other demonic beasts also began to enter the water. At this time, the cultivators in charge of harassing the demonic beasts flew above the demonic beasts on their swords and began to use spells to attack the demonic beasts. The demonic beasts were in the water and couldn't dodge in time. Many demonic beasts were hit by the spells. Because they were too close, they squeezed each other while dodging, causing the entire demonic beasts to be in chaos. The white tiger leaped onto a slope and was about to let out a tiger roar when it raised its head. Suddenly, 2 earth-yellow spikes drilled out of the soil under its feet and directly attacked its abdomen. The white tiger suppressed its roar and jumped, dodging the 2 spikes. Before its body had even landed, a fishing net had already covered it. The white tiger was in the air and had nowhere to borrow strength. It opened its mouth and spat out a wind with metal attribute spiritual energy, hitting the fishing net. However, this fishing net was also a second-rank mid-grade magic tool, so how could it be broken by its hasty counterattack? The white tiger was still trapped by the fishing net. Just as it was about to tear the fishing net apart, more than 10 flying swords attacked it. Its spiritual energy surged and its body flashed with a dazzling silver light. When the flying swords hit the white tiger's body, at most they left a shallow wound, not enough to cause any serious damage. However, the cultivators didn't expect the flying swords to be able to take down the white tiger. The cultivators at the 8th or 9th level of Foundation establishment didn't use their flying swords to attack the white tiger. Instead, they gathered their spiritual energy on the side, preparing to cast a powerful spell to deal a fatal blow to the white tiger. The white tiger was about to become a 3rd-rank demonic beast, and a 3rd-rank demonic beast's intelligence was comparable to that of an ordinary person. The white tiger's intelligence was also very close to that of an ordinary person, and coupled with its keen perception. Naturally, it knew what these people were up to. The muscles on its 2 front legs bulged, directly tearing a large hole in the second-rank mid-grade fishing net. It fell out of the fishing net. It thought that it could escape, but it didn't expect that what awaited it on the ground was a second-rank Earth Attribute spell, Quagmire spell. Using Earth Attribute's spiritual energy to create a muddy ground, people or demonic beasts that fall on it will be trapped in the quagmire. If they can't break free in the first place, they will sink deeper and deeper. If they want to escape, they can only rely on their powerful spiritual energy to forcibly break the spell. This quagmire was created by many 7th-level Foundation establishment cultivators casting the quagmire spell. Even if the white tiger can break it, it will take time. And the cultivators who were gathering their spiritual energy won't give it this time. Since they can't break the spell in a short time, they can only deal with the caster. A spiritual energy vortex appeared around the white tiger, and the spiritual energy fluctuation on the surface of its body was getting stronger and stronger. It was obviously preparing to cast a powerful spell. At this time, it was Wang Daoyuan's turn to act. To interrupt the spell of a second-rank peak demonic beast is not a simple matter. At this time, the white tiger's spiritual energy was surging. Even if he attacked with all his strength, it would be very difficult to interrupt the spell. He must wait for an opportunity. He condensed all the spiritual energy in his body in his right hand and poured it into the 5-dragon soul-chasing whip. If he can't interrupt the white tiger's spell, the few cultivators who trapped the white tiger may die. If the white tiger escapes, this decapitation plan will fail. After the white tiger finished condensing its spiritual energy, the spiritual energy shield on its body was also retracted, and all the spiritual energy was gathered in its mouth. The opportunity came. Wang Daoyuan pulled out the whip and hit the white tiger's head. At this time the white tiger can continue to cast spells, but there is no time to dodge. It doesn't have the slightest protection now and can only rely on its physical body to resist the harassment attack of the flying sword. However, Wang Daoyuan's whip made it feel a huge sense of danger. Without any protection it was completely possible that it would lose its life. But it was already very strenuous to control the spiritual energy gathered in its mouth, and it can't condense any more spiritual energy to defend. In desperation, it can only condense the spiritual energy in its mouth and hit Wang Daoyuan. After Wang Daoyuan pulled out the whip, he directly used the smoke escape to dodge. He knows his own strength. This whip may be able to resist a second-rank mid-grade monster, but it can't block a second-rank peak monster's spell. The white tiger let out a long roar, and a strong wind carrying metal attribute spiritual energy swept towards Wang Daoyuan's previous position. He detonated the spiritual energy from the whip, but unfortunately in the strong wind, it didn't cause any waves and was completely annihilated. At the place where Wang Daoyuan was previously, there was a 3 feet deep, 2 feet wide and more than 200 feet long hole in the ground. Seeing this, he felt a burst of fear. If this hit him, he will directly be smashed to pieces. At this time, some monsters came to the white tiger's rescue. When they agreed on the plan before it was already arranged. When several monsters rushed up, a few 6th-level Foundation establishment cultivators immediately went to stop them, not to kill the monsters, but to delay them for a few breaths of time. The white tiger's long-stored attack missed, and it immediately gathered spiritual energy again. Unfortunately, time waits for no tiger. More than a dozen 8th and 9th-level Foundation establishment cultivators finished storing energy in advance. Wang Daoyuan rode on Yun-Yi and flew away to avoid being injured by the aftermath of the battle. More than a dozen colorful spells were cast, and all of them smashed on the white tiger's body. Only to hear the white tiger let out a desperate cry, followed by more than a dozen explosions. The white tiger was drowned by spells. Chapter 186. The white tiger's wail and the explosion of the spell attracted the attention of many demonic beasts. When the spell's power dissipated, there was a huge pit with a diameter of 50 feet and a depth of 70 to 80 feet. There was only dark red soil in the pit. Not even a bit of the white tiger was left. When the demonic beasts saw that the Beast King was killed, they let out low growls of fear. Without the Beast King, the demonic beasts lost their order and began to scatter. Wang Daoyuan kept staring at the black ape with the bloodline of the horned lightning ape. The ape-type demonic beasts were indeed intelligent. It did not scatter like the other demonic beasts. Instead, it followed the small demonic beasts that had the most demonic beast. The demonic beasts scattered in all directions. The local clans were worried that these demonic beasts would enter their territory, so they chased after the scattered demonic beasts. The clans that were located in the southernmost part of Qingli County also sent some cultivators to intercept the demonic beasts that were heading north to prevent them from threatening their territory. After the small demonic beasts that the black ape was in crossed the Crimson Sand River, they no longer advanced towards the west. Instead, they fled towards the southwest. The small demonic beasts were led by a few second-tier upper-grade demonic beasts that had crossed the river first. However, their prestige could not be compared to the Beast King. The demonic beasts continued to scatter. The demonic beasts became smaller and smaller. There were only a few hundred left. The small demonic beasts advanced another 200 to 300 miles towards the southwest. There was a small mountain range that stretched for a few hundred miles. This small mountain range was called the 100-Spirit Mountain. The mountain was rich in spirit energy. In the past, there were many demonic beasts in the mountain. Later, it was occupied by the surrounding clans. They opened up many forests and spirit fields. The demonic beasts were basically exterminated. If the small demonic beasts were to escape, the surrounding clans would suffer great losses. Moreover, although this mountain range was called a small mountain range, it was not small compared to the Heaven/Mountain range. More than 100 second-tier demonic beasts escaped into the mountain. To exterminate all of them, it would take too much manpower and time. They had no choice but to exterminate them. There were many clans around the 100-Spirit Mountain. If they were to leave this group of demonic beasts, the surrounding clans would have to sleep with only one eye open. Who knew when the demonic beasts would surround their own spirit mountain? At this moment, the demonic beasts were in a low-lying area with rivers. They could see the 100-spirit mountain in the distance. These 100 demonic beasts ran towards the 100-spirit mountain with all their might. When the small beast herd was less than 200 miles away from the Bailing Spirit Mountain, tens of demon beasts left the small beast herd and fled towards the east. The cultivators chasing after them were all worried that the small beast horde would escape into the 100-spirit mountain. In the east there was a large plain mixed with lone peaks. More than 10 demonic beasts were running towards the east. There was no place for them to hide. It wouldn't be too late to kill them after dealing with the small group of demonic beasts. The other cultivators didn't care, but Wang Daoyuan did. The black ape was among the 10 or so demonic beasts. The ranks of these demonic beasts were not high. Only 3 of them were middle-grade Tier 2 demonic beasts, while the rest were low-grade Tier 2 demonic beasts. As for the second-stage upper-grade demonic beasts, they all wanted to escape into the 100-spirit mountain and continue to dominate. They were unwilling to run in any other direction. Wang Daoyuan separated himself from the other cultivators and chased after the 10 demonic beasts alone. The speed of these demonic beasts running on the ground was incomparable to the speed of him riding Yun-Yi in the sky. Relying on his speed advantage, he constantly flew above the group of demonic beasts, and whenever he saw an opportunity he would lash out with his whip. The demonic beasts fled for less than 30 miles, but they had already lost 3 second-stage low-grade Tier 2 demonic beasts. Wang Daoyuan was not in a hurry to kill them immediately. Every time he would pick up the corpses of the demonic beasts and continue to chase. Seeing that their companions were constantly being killed and the enemy was still chasing after them, these demonic beasts began to scatter and flee. When the second-stage low-grade demonic beasts scattered, Wang Daoyuan naturally wouldn't chase after them. Instead he continued to chase after the 3 second-stage mid-grade demonic beasts. He would seize the opportunity to whip the black ape's companions. In the end, the other 2 second-stage mid-grade demonic beasts also began to scatter and flee. Wang Daoyuan followed closely behind the black ape. He was not in a hurry to deal with it. What he wanted was to subdue the black ape and make it recognize him as its master. If he refined it into a clone, then the black ape would basically be crippled. If its soul was damaged, it would be difficult for its cultivation to improve. The growth of its bloodline talent would also stop there. However, this black ape had a high-grade demonic beast bloodline. Its strength far exceeded its peers. Naturally, it had its pride. How could it be easily subdued? If he didn't beat down its pride, even if he made it recognize him as its master, it might not be obedient in the future. At a critical moment, it might even betray its master. To beat down its pride, he had to first make it feel despair and then give it hope to survive. Wang Daoyuan drove Yun-Yi to lower the flying altitude, descending to a height of only 50 to 60 feet from the ground. At this height, as long as a second-stage demonic beast had a long-range attack spell, it could hit it. The black ape was also not good-tempered. After being beaten for a long time and still not being able to hit the enemy, it had long been suppressing its anger. Seeing Wang Daoyuan enter its attack range, how could it easily let him go? Violent spiritual power fluctuations appeared on the black ape's body, flickering with blue lightning. Following that, a 1-foot-long blue single-horned phantom appeared on its forehead. This time it did not store power for too long. As soon as the single-horned phantom formed, it released a fist-sized thunderball. However, the spiritual power fluctuations of this thunderball were far inferior to the one at Crouching Tiger Mountain previously. Wang Daoyuan waved the long whip in his hand, and the force he released collided with the thunderball. After an explosion, the force in the thunderball disappeared. The black ape did not stop and continued to release thunderballs, but they were all destroyed by Wang Daoyuan's whip. The speed at which it released the thunderball was far inferior to the speed at which Wang Daoyuan attacked with the whip. While releasing the thunderball, it also had to constantly dodge Wang Daoyuan's attacks. Its dodging speed was somewhat unable to keep up, and its body suffered quite a few blows. The black ape did not relax its defense. There was always a thunder attribute spiritual power fluctuation on its body, and the force from the whip could only cause some superficial wounds. However, pain was unavoidable. The black ape was beaten until it grimaced in pain, but its eyes still revealed a rebellious look. Since it was not afraid of being beaten, Wang Daoyuan was even more unconcerned. He would just continue to waste time. The 5-dragon soul chasing whip and his 5-spirit immortal ascension technique complemented each other. It consumed little spiritual power and was very powerful. He was not afraid of anyone in terms of consumption. Besides, didn't he still have the aged scarlet blood wine? With the experience of being broken by Wang Daoyuan in advance, the black ape did not dare to accumulate power to release the thunderball with high lethality. The black ape could not escape, could not hit, and could only take a beating. After more than 2 hours, the horn on the black ape's forehead became extremely dim. After releasing a thunderball, the horn completely disappeared. Wang Daoyuan casually destroyed the thunderball and drove Yun-Yi to land on the ground. Although the black ape's spiritual power was exhausted, it still did not give up. Seeing him land, it directly rushed up to fight with him. Wang Daoyuan naturally did not dare to fight with it in close combat. He used the water dragon technique and directly entangled the black ape. The water dragon brought the black ape more than 10 feet high in the air. After fighting for more than 2 hours, Wang Daoyuan's spiritual power consumption was also very high. He took out a jar of 50-year-old scarlet blood wine and drank a few mouthfuls. The fragrance of the wine spread in all directions. The black ape was constantly inhaling in the air, and its saliva was about to flow out. After half a cup of tea's time, his spiritual power was completely recovered. He used his divine sense to send a message to the black ape. If you're willing to acknowledge me as your master and become my spirit beast, I'll let you go. If you don't, you'll have to die. The black ape was tied up in the air by the water dragon. It wanted to break free, but it couldn't use its strength. The black ape sent a message. If I acknowledge you as my master, can you let me drink the thing in your hand? Wang Daoyuan pointed at the wine jar and asked, "You'll acknowledge me as your master with this?" The black ape nodded solemnly. Wang Daoyuan felt that the whole world was collapsing. Where's the arrogance? Where's the arrogance? After spending so much effort, he still couldn't beat the black ape. In the end, it was fine as long as there was wine. He controlled the water dragon and put down the black ape. He turned the water dragon into a water dragon armor and used the master recognition on the black ape. The black ape stared at the wine jar on the ground the whole time, without any desire to resist. After a few dozen breaths, the master recognition was completed. The black ape rushed over, hugged the wine jar and drank wildly. Chapter 187. After the black ape finished drinking a jar of scarlet blood wine, it couldn't walk steadily, but it could still stay sober. Its alcohol tolerance was much higher than Wang Daoxing's. Wang Daoyuan put the black ape into the spirit beast bag. After all, it wasn't a spirit beast that he had raised since it was young. He didn't feel at ease putting it in the space of the spirit pearl. After putting away the black ape, Wang Daoyuan began to chase after the other demonic beasts. However, he was chasing after the demonic beasts that had escaped with the black ape. As for the small group of demonic beasts that had escaped to 100 Spirit Mountain, they were the main force of this beast tide. There were a large number of second-rank high-grade demonic beasts. Many of the demonic beasts had high-grade demonic beast bloodlines and were extremely powerful. He didn't want to gnaw on these tough bones. His clan was thousands of miles away from here, and there was also Clear Glass City in between. No matter how much trouble the demonic beasts caused, it had nothing to do with him. Previously, when he was patrolling the demonic beasts, the only one suitable for subduing was the black ape. Even if he killed the other demonic beasts, he could only exchange them for spirit stones. It wasn't worth risking his life for spirit stones. After wandering around for a day, he killed more than 20 second-rank low-grade and middle-grade demonic beasts. Yang Ziyuan sent a message through the conscription order, ordering the cultivators who had dealt with the demonic beasts to gather at 100 Spirit Mountain. Wang Daoyuan rode Yun-Yi and slowly rushed to 100 Spirit Mountain. On the way to 100 Spirit Mountain, he saw the remains of many demonic beasts. After arriving, he learned that Yang Ziyuan had led a group of cultivators above the 6th level of Foundation establishment to chase after the small group of demonic beasts. They killed dozens of demonic beasts, but more than 40 demonic beasts still fled into 100 Spirit Mountain. The demonic beasts that fled into 100 Spirit Mountain scattered and hid in the mountains and dense forests. It was very difficult to find them. After many battles, those that survived were not weak. It wasn't a problem for them to fight a late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator alone. Foundation establishment cultivators couldn't enter the mountain alone. To completely destroy this group of demonic beasts without suffering heavy casualties, it was not something that Foundation establishment cultivators could do. They had to invite a Zifu Mansion elder. Zifu Mansion cultivators' divine senses were powerful. It was very difficult for second-rank demonic beasts to hide from their divine senses. The sneak attacks of second-rank demonic beasts also couldn't threaten Zifu Mansion cultivators. The clans around 100 Spirit Mountain had suffered great losses. There were many small spirit veins on Beiling's Spirit Mountain, which created a large number of spirit fields and forests, which were important sources of income for the nearby families. Now more than 40 rank 2 demonic beasts had entered. Who would dare to go in and guard the property? Not only did they have to give up all their businesses in the 100 Spirit Mountain, but they also had to guard against the demonic beasts attacking their businesses outside of the 100 Spirit Mountain. At this time, several Foundation establishment cultivators from nearby clans surrounded Yang Ziyuan and requested him to eliminate the demon beasts in the 100 Spirit Mountain as soon as possible. Yang Ziyuan was also helpless. If they were to face the enemy head-on, these second-order demonic beasts could not fly and would definitely not be a match for human cultivators. However, they escaped into the mountains and forests, hiding in the mountains and forests. When they suddenly attacked, the human cultivators were no match for them at all. No matter how noisy the Foundation establishment cultivators were, Yang Ziyuan did not dare to let anyone enter the 100 Spirit Mountain. The mission of the northern cultivators of Qingli Prefecture was to repel the beast tide. Now that the Beast King was dead, the horde of beasts scattered like stars. Most of them had been exterminated. The mission set by the conscription order had already been completed. The demonic beasts that had entered the 100 Spirit Mountain could only harm the families near the mountain. To the entire Qingli Prefecture, the effect was negligible. In this conscription, only a few of the Foundation establishment cultivators from the northern part of Qingli Prefecture were injured. None of them died. On the other hand, more than 10 local cultivators died in battle. However, they had received orders from the Netherworld sect and were not conscripted under Elder Yang's name. To Yang Ziyuan, this great battle against the demonic beast tide could be said to be a complete victory. If they entered the 100 Spirit Mountain again to eliminate the demonic beasts, even if they succeeded, there would not be any more credit. If there were casualties among the Foundation establishment cultivators from the northern part of Qingli Prefecture, the credit for the great victory would be reduced. Yang Ziyuan was not a fool. Why would he agree to enter the 100 Spirit Mountain to exterminate the demonic beasts? After waiting for 2 days outside the 100 Spirit Mountain, all the cultivators from the northern part of Qingli Prefecture gathered. The scattered demonic beasts in other places were basically eliminated. Although there were heavy casualties among mortals and Qi refinement cultivators in this battle, very few Foundation establishment cultivators died in battle. Not a single family was exterminated. The influence of the demonic beast tide on the entire Netherworld sect was almost zero. Ignoring the efforts of the local families to urge them to stay, Yang Ziyuan led the 55 Foundation establishment cultivators and left the central part of Qingli Prefecture, returning to Qingli City Market. As for the peak Qi refinement cultivators sent by the Netherworld sect, they continued to stay on the Qin family's Spirit Mountain. When the Netherworld sect's worship returned, they would be picked up along the way. Everyone returned to Qingli City Market. Yang Yong went to 100 miles away from Qingli City Market to personally welcome them. The credit of leading the extermination of the demonic beast tide was firmly in his hands. Soon after, several leading Foundation establishment cultivators reported the contributions of each cultivator to their superiors. The cultivators also took out proof that they had killed the demonic beasts. Wang Daoyuan also took out more than 10 demonic beast corpses as proof. The other demonic beast corpses had already been dealt with by the spirit beasts in the space. Elder Yang also did not take away the demonic beast corpses. He only made a record. Yang Yong expressed that he would definitely ask for credit for all the meritorious officials. Afterwards, the Foundation establishment cultivators dispersed. Wang Daoyuan also left Qingli City Market and returned to Jade Spring Peak. More than 10 days later, Yang Yong sent news that the Netherworld sect had given the Wang family the credit of pacifying the demonic beast tide. Of course, this credit was not earned by Wang Daoyuan's participation in the battle. It was earned by reporting the news in advance. The southernmost Wanchuan City Market of Qingli County was also attacked by the demonic beast tide. Due to the Wang family's information, the Netherworld sect made preparations before the Myriad Spirit sect. The demonic beast tide had not yet fully formed when the flying warship sent by the Netherworld sect arrived. They cooperated with the cultivators left behind at Wanchuan City Market to attack the demonic beasts that were gathering along the north bank of Wanchuan River. These demonic beasts had not yet been organized and were completely scattered. How could they withstand the attacks of several Zifu disciples, dozens of Foundation Establishment cultivators, and 3 flying warships of the Netherworld sect? They were all driven into Wanchuan River. Although these terrestrial demonic beasts did not like to enter the water, they were rank 2 demonic beasts and would not drown to death. Since they could not stay on the north bank, they crossed Wanchuan River and reached the south bank. Although many demonic beasts had been ambushed by the aquatic demonic beasts, there were still thousands of rank 2 demonic beasts and more than 10 rank 3 demonic beasts that reached the south bank. Across the river from Qingli County was Linchuan County, which was under the jurisdiction of the Myriad Spirit Sect. The Myriad Spirit Sect did not know what was going on when thousands of demonic beasts suddenly appeared on the river bank. The northern part of Linchuan County was a flat land with only a few dozen small hills. These were the spirit mountains of the various clans. The demonic beasts did not need to gather at all. They just started to move. The demonic beasts wreaked havoc in Linchuan County for 7 to 8 days before the cultivators sent by the Myriad Spirit Sect arrived at the scene. After nearly half a month, the Myriad Spirit Sect finally managed to pacify the demonic beast tide. Less than 1/10 of the clans in the northern part of Linchuan County survived. More than half of the clans in the central part were lost. Almost half of the clans in Linchuan County were wiped out. Dozens of the Foundation Establishment cultivators sent by the Myriad Spirit Sect died in the battle against the demonic beast tide. The losses were incalculable. Apart from not losing any high-level cultivators, the Myriad Spirit Sect had suffered even greater losses this time than when the Netherworld sect was schemed against by the 2 sections. The Myriad Spirit Sect did not lose a single Foundation Establishment cultivator. The subsidiary clans only lost more than 10 Foundation Establishment cultivators. None of the clans were wiped out. In a demonic beast tide that affected the entire county, such losses were completely negligible. Thanks to the Wang clan's advance warning, the Netherworld sect did not suffer any losses. They even took advantage of their neighbor's situation and caused great losses to the Myriad Spirit Sect. The upper echelons of the Netherworld sect were all grinning from ear to ear. It was not strange that the Wang clan was given the greatest credit. Chapter 188. Half a month later, the rewards from the Netherworld sect were finally announced. The rewards for killing demonic beasts were exactly what Yang Zhiqing promised at Crouching Tiger Mountain. For killing a demonic beast, the reward was 500 spirit stones for second-level low-grade, 1,000 spirit stones for second-level mid-grade, and 2,000 spirit stones for second-level high-grade. Wang Daoyuan took out 10 or so demonic beast corpses, plus the contribution of defending Crouching Tiger Mountain and participating in killing the Beast King. He was rewarded 10,000 spirit stones in total. Apart from that, the Wang family had notified the Netherworld sect of the beast tide in advance, giving them enough time to prepare. They didn't suffer any harm, but took the opportunity to deal a heavy blow to the Myriad Spirit Sect. The Netherworld sect rewarded the Wang family with 5 third-level low-grade talismans, 10 or so second-level magic weapons, and 50 or so second-level pills. Most importantly, the Netherworld sect also rewarded the Wang family with a Foundation Establishment pill. The Foundation Establishment pill had always been a way for the sect to win over the affiliated families, but the Netherworld sect didn't want the affiliated families to prosper. Therefore, they had always been stingy with the Foundation Establishment pill. Even if the affiliated families made great contributions, they were only given the right to bid for the Foundation Establishment pill at a discount. It was very rare to directly reward a Foundation Establishment pill. This was probably the Netherworld sect trying to win over the older families, using the Wang family as an example. As long as one made great contributions, the Netherworld sect wouldn't be stingy with their rewards, no matter which faction they belonged to. If other families received a Foundation Establishment pill, they would go crazy with joy. But now that the Wang clan had obtained this Foundation Establishment pill, they really didn't know whether to be happy or worried. The value of a Foundation Establishment pill was needless to say, but the Wang family wasn't in a hurry. The Netherworld sect gave the Wang family the greatest contribution, which was to draw hatred for the Wang family. Not only did they attract hatred from the myriad spirit sect, but they also attracted the jealousy of the families in Qingli County. Not long after the Netherworld sect gave out the rewards, rumors started to spread in Qingli City that Wang Daoyuan received the inheritance of an ancient cultivator, and his first-level foundation establishment battle strength was comparable to a 4th or 5th-level foundation establishment cultivator. Also, he received many foundation establishment pills. Otherwise, how could a 5-spirit root cultivator reach foundation establishment so easily? As the initiator of the rumors, the Liang family didn't feel good either. At that time, the news that Wang Daoyuan directly attacked the Liang family and said that Liang had a good friend who was an elder in Cruel Sun Palace also spread in Qingli City. Although there was no evidence, once the news spread, the Netherworld sect would definitely investigate. It was no secret that Liang had good friends when he was young. As long as he wanted to investigate, he could definitely find out. One of his good friends was an elder in the Cruel Sun Palace. This matter could not be concealed. Of course, the Underworld sect wouldn't directly do anything to the Liang family if they couldn't get any evidence of Liang colluding with the Cruel Sun Palace. However, the suspicion of the Liang family colluding with the Cruel Sun Palace couldn't be shaken off. No matter how the 3 factions fought, they were still fighting for power under the banner of the Netherworld sect. Once he was involved with the enemy, the 3 factions would no longer trust him. In the future, the Liang clan would not have an easy time in the Netherworld sect. In contrast to the Wang clan's mixed emotions and the Liang clan's misfortune, the Yang clan was flushed with success. After receiving the news from the Wang family, Yang Yong quickly verified it and obtained accurate information about the beast tide. He then reported it to the sect. Exterminating the beast horde in the central part of Qingli County also resulted in minimal losses. The upper echelons of the Netherworld sect rewarded Yang Yong with many Tier 3 medicinal pills and magic tools. Furthermore, the treatment of the Yang clan's disciples in the Netherworld sect was also improved. This was not the only good thing for the Yang clan. After the Netherworld sect's reward was given, another good thing followed. The first master of the Green Willow province, Shi Zhenbong, failed to establish the Violet Palace and passed away. Shi Zhenbong was a descendant of the River Sun City's Shi clan. The ancestor of the River Sun City's Shi clan was a Golden Core realm family that had been around for 10,000 years. In terms of heritage, not to mention the Wang clan, which had not lasted for many years, even the Netherworld sect couldn't compare to them. Although they were exterminated along with the Zhao clan 300 years ago, they lost their territory and wealth. But their cultivation techniques and spiritual techniques could be stored in an interspatial pouch, so it was easy to preserve them. 20 years ago, Shi Zhenbong snatched the foundation building pellet from Elder Zhou. After exchanging a few moves with Elder Zhou, he used his ultimate move to clash with Elder Zhou and escaped unscathed. His combat strength could be said to be invincible under the Violet Palace realm. Shi Zhenbong had snatched the foundation building pill and escaped unscathed from the hands of the Purple Mansion's elders. His reputation had spread far and wide. Over the past 20 years, the Green Willow province had been recruiting and their strength had grown rapidly. For many years, Elder Zhou didn't dare to leave the Clear Glass City. Yang Yong also didn't leave after taking over the Clear Glass City. He was afraid that Shi Zhenbong would cause trouble again. With Shi Zhenbong's strength, no one could stop him without an elder of the Violet Palace realm. However, such a figure had passed away after failing to establish the Violet Palace realm. The Shi clan still had 2 foundation establishment realm cultivators, but the highest cultivation was only in the 7th level. It wouldn't be a problem to protect the Shi clan's legacy, but it would be impossible for them to command the Green Willow province. With Shi Zhenbong's death, the Green Willow province would definitely have a power struggle and they wouldn't be able to cause any trouble in the short term. Furthermore, the foundation establishment realm cultivators of the Green Willow province didn't have Shi Zhenbong's combat strength. A few foundation establishment realm cultivators of the Netherworld sect could easily take them down. Yang Yong also didn't have to guard the Clear Glass City all day long. Jade Spring Peak. The first step of the Wang clan's reform had been completed. All the stewards of the 9 halls and 2 divisions had been selected and the division of authority had been sorted out. The clan leader and the elders gathered together to report on the operations of each hall and division. They found the shortcomings and improved them. After discussing the operations, 10th Great Uncle Wang Jihe asked, There have been some rumors about Daoyuan recently. How should we respond? 10th great-uncle was in charge of the Hall of Commerce. The Hall of Commerce was temporarily in charge of gathering information. Any news from the outside world would also be reported by 10th great-uncle. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Isn't it just the matter of me having the legacy of an ancient cultivator? There won't be many people interested in the legacy of a Pentas spirit root. The only thing we need to consider is the Foundation Establishment pill. Since there are people coveting the Foundation Establishment pill, we'll just use it on the surface. 8th uncle and 9th aunt are almost 70 years old. We'll just let them reach the Foundation Establishment realm. We can also let 3rd brother reach the Foundation Establishment realm. 2nd brother can wait until the Netherworld sect auctions the Foundation Establishment pill 4 years later. Currently, the Wang clan had 4 cultivators who were especially suited for the Foundation Establishment realm. Letting only 3 of them reach the Foundation Establishment realm was a sign that the Foundation Establishment pills had been used up. At the auction 4 years later, they could buy another Foundation Establishment pill at a high price and let 2nd brother reach the Foundation Establishment realm. Since the Foundation Establishment pills in the Wang clan's possession had been used up, the rumors became more credible. 10th great-uncle asked curiously, "There really are more?" Wang Daoyuan smiled. Of course there are more. How else could I reach the Foundation Establishment realm? I've already used 2 of the Foundation Establishment pills I got from Master's Cave, so there are still 2 left. This time the Netherworld sect rewarded me with another one. The news has already been leaked, so there's no need to keep it a secret. We might as well use them all to avoid being targeted. Hearing this, everyone present was pleasantly surprised. The Wang clan would have 3 more Foundation Establishment realm cultivators. With 7 Foundation Establishment realm cultivators in each clan, it would be comparable to a Zifu clan. The Yang clan only had 6 Foundation Establishment realm cultivators. The Liang clan originally had 6 Foundation Establishment realm cultivators, but one of them died in the battle against the Redbeard bandits. Now they only had 5 Foundation Establishment realm cultivators. The framework of a Zifu clan had already been set up. They only lacked 1 more Zifu disciple. Chapter 189. After solving the problem of the Foundation Establishment pill, Wang Daoyuan asked, "The clan can sell ores, spirit wood and spirit beast meat at a high price when doing business with the River Yang County. The clan's mines and forest farms also don't need to suppress their production. Have you estimated how much it will increase?" 3rd brother Wang Daochang replied, "If we don't suppress our production, the clan's northern industries can increase their production by at least 2 times. Due to the convenience of water transportation, the industries along the Qingli River and the Qingli River didn't have much of a suppression in the past. In general, their production can increase by at least 2 times. 10th great-uncle Wang Zhihe continued, "The other shops in the Qingli market didn't change much. Only the drunken Immortal restaurant doubled their income this month. In Heian County, they could consume as many ores and spiritual woods as they wanted. The output of the family's mines and forests had more than doubled. If we don't consider the transportation bottleneck, selling ores and spirit wood and buying spirit beast meat will increase the business of the drunken Immortal restaurant. The annual profit of this trade route should be close to 40,000 spirit stones. However, considering that there will be more and more clans doing business in the River Yang County, the price of ores and spirit wood will definitely decrease slowly. The price of ores and spirit wood in the Qingli market will also increase a bit. After the market stabilizes, the annual net income of this trade route should increase by 20 to 30,000 spirit stones." Wang Daoyuan pondered for a while and said, "Since the clan can increase its income by 20,000 spirit stones, the finances will be more comfortable. The clan's monthly stipend and contribution point reform that I mentioned before can also be implemented. In the future, the clan will assign missions to the clansmen according to their danger and difficulty. Different levels of missions will give different contribution points and monthly stipends. In addition, clansmen who make special contributions will be given extra contribution points. For example, if the clansmen who were guarding the family's property encountered a demonic beast invasion and repelled the demonic beasts, they should be rewarded with extra contribution points in addition to the monthly stipend. Clansmen who have potential in cultivation and the 100 arts of cultivation should be given extra subsidies to make full use of their potential. For example, second brother's cultivation talent is very good, but he doesn't have any special skills and can't earn many spirit stones. The clan used to subsidize these clansmen, but it didn't form a system. In the future, when the clan grew stronger, it was inevitable that some of the clansmen would be dissatisfied if they still used this method of private subsidies. Clansmen who were important to the clan would also be given a certain amount of subsidies. For example, those who taught underage clansmen the various arts of cultivation, as well as foundation establishment cultivators, would also be given a special allowance. In addition to these, there was also a need to establish a loan system. For example, they could exchange for foundation establishment pills. If they had great potential but didn't have enough contribution points, they could borrow contribution points and slowly repay them after they reached foundation establishment. This loan qualification must be strictly controlled. Only those who were talented in cultivation, talented in the various arts of cultivation, or had made great contributions to the clan were qualified to borrow money. I only have so many suggestions. The specific implementation rules and standards will be discussed by the patriarch and the elders. Next, he had to arrange for 8th uncle, 9th aunt, and 3rd brother to build their foundations as soon as possible. Only when there are more foundation establishment cultivators in the clan will I be able to leave the clan without worry. The beast horde this time gave him a reminder. The Wang family was located near the junction of the Heavenly/Mountain Range and Huiyan Mountain. No matter which side a beast tide occurred, the Wang family would be swept into it. In the past, the Wang clan had the myriad water origin formation, which even rank 4 demonic beasts would find difficult to break. At that time there weren't many clansmen, so the Jade Spring Peak could completely accommodate them. Now, without the myriad water origin formation, they would be powerless to stop a large-scale beast tide. There were more than 100,000 mortals in the clan, and the Jade Spring Peak couldn't accommodate them all. To restore the myriad water origin formation, they first needed a rank 4 spirit vein. To restore the Jade Spring Peak spirit vein, they also needed extremely high attainments in formations. Even with the 5 element spiritual master's legacy in formations and the basic knowledge from Qi Yun's clone, it would take at least 100 years to become a rank 4 formation master. It was hard to say when the next beast tide would come. To protect the clan, they had to rely on the 5 elements mystic realm. It was urgent to open up a passage between the clan's territory and the 5 elements mystic realm. After 8th uncle and the other 2 reached foundation establishment, Wang Daoyuan would go to the east side of the clan's territory to find a suitable spiritual mountain as a transit point to the 5 elements mystic realm. The elders recorded down Wang Daoyuan's suggestions for reform. 10th great uncle asked, "What are you going to do now?" Wang Daoyuan answered, "Only the foundation establishment cultivators and first elder know the details of opening up a path of retreat for the clan, so it's not convenient to talk about it. This beast tide made me aware of the potential risks of the clan. If another beast tide happens and our Wang clan is involved, how many properties and clansmen can we protect? To be on the safe side, we need to make preparations as soon as possible and move our clansmen to a safe place. After 8th uncle and the others reach foundation establishment, I'll be in charge of the path of retreat." 12th uncle Wang Shi said, "We really need to make preparations. 8th brother, 9th sister, and Dao Chong, the 3 of you should make preparations and reach foundation establishment as soon as possible." The 3 of them agreed. A month later, the 3 of them were almost ready and could reach foundation establishment at any time. The clan had never seen 3 people reach foundation establishment consecutively. Even 5th great uncle Wang Jian came out of seclusion to protect the 3 of them. In addition, the clan's defensive formation was also activated. Jade Spring Peak's current defensive formation was called the Black Tortoise Water Defense Formation, a rank 3 intermediate formation. This formation was also left behind by the ancestor. Before obtaining the Myriad Water Origin Formation, Jade Spring Peak's defensive formation was the Black Tortoise Water Defense Formation. This formation could barely be considered as both offensive and defensive, but its offensive power was relatively weak while its defensive power was extremely strong. Its offensive means mainly relied on condensing the black tortoise's image and controlling water to attack the enemy. Water attribute's spiritual energy wasn't good at attacking. Therefore, the Black Tortoise Water Defense Formation's offensive power was better than nothing. Needless to say, once the formation was activated coupled with a rank 3 upper spirit vein, Even a peak Zifu realm cultivator wouldn't be able to break it in a short time. Among the three of them, only ninth sister Wang Shoujing majored in the water attribute and was most suitable for foundation establishment by the Jade Dragon's Spring. Thus, she was the first to reach foundation establishment. Ninth sister directly reached foundation establishment in the auditorium on the north side of the Jade Dragon's Spring. The water spiritual energy here was extremely rich and was enough for the Zifu realm to break through to the Golden Core realm. Breaking through to foundation establishment wasn't difficult at all. She had been at the peak of qi refinement for more than 20 years and her foundation was quite stable. 2 hours after taking the foundation establishment pill, a water-blue spiritual energy vortex with a diameter of 70 feet appeared in the air above the auditorium. An hour later, the spiritual energy vortex gradually shrank and finally disappeared. Ninth sister had successfully reached foundation establishment and the next step was to consolidate her cultivation. Eighth uncle Wang Shoujiang and third brother Wang Daochong were both fire attribute cultivators. It was basically impossible for them to break through by the Jade Dragon's Spring. Grand-grandfather took out a few crimson jade formation discs from the ancestral shrine and led everyone to the north side of the mountain peak. There was a piece of flat land halfway up the mountain and a few mu of spiritual fields had been opened up. It was a distance away from the Jade Dragon's Spring and there was a lot of non-elemental spiritual energy. Coupled with the fire attribute spirit gathering formation, it was easy to support a qi refinement cultivator's foundation establishment. Great-grandfather and fifth great-uncle set up a few spirit gathering formation discs. On each formation disc there were a few mid-grade spirit stones. Eighth uncle had been at the peak of qi refinement for more than 20 years and his foundation was very solid. After taking the foundation establishment pill, he successfully reached foundation establishment 4 hours later. Wang Daochong still wanted to reach foundation establishment here, so he left and returned to his cave residence to consolidate his cultivation. Third brother Wang Daochong had reached the peak of qi refinement in his early 30s and was now close to 50 years old. After nearly 20 years of consolidation, his foundation was naturally very solid. He had an 8-inch fire spiritual root. After taking the foundation establishment pill, the possibility of him failing to reach foundation establishment was almost non-existent. 2 hours after taking the foundation establishment pill, a fiery red spiritual energy vortex with a diameter of about 30 feet appeared above his head. Obviously, his talent was much stronger than eighth uncle and ninth sister. An hour later, the spiritual energy vortex gradually shrank and finally disappeared. The three people had all succeeded in reaching foundation establishment. It was the first time such a grand occasion had occurred since the ancestor died in battle. Chapter 190. After eighth uncle and the other two succeeded in building their foundation and stabilizing their cultivation, the 12th uncle Wang Shi closed the family's mountain protecting formation and arranged for the three of them to brazenly practice the sword controlling technique. When the three of them built their foundation, the mountain protecting formation was activated. Other than ensuring safety, it also attracted attention. After the mountain protecting formation was closed, Wang Daoyuan released Jin Yi and Yun Yi to observe the surrounding situation and found that there were indeed many rogue cultivators spying on them. Only when eighth uncle and the other two learned how to fly on their swords did these rogue cultivators disperse. In just 2 or 3 days, the news of the Wang family's three building their foundation spread throughout the northern part of Qingli County. Regarding this matter, everyone's attitude was different. Some were envious, some were jealous, and some were hateful. Most people's attitude was that the Wang family was really decisive and was willing to use 3 foundation establishment pills at once. Other foundation establishment clans might have many foundation establishment pills, but they might not be willing to use them all at once. Most of them were stored first to ensure that the foundation establishment cultivators of the family would not be cut off. Many clans sighed. A third overlord clan was about to appear in the northern part of Qingli County. For the Wang family, other than the increase in foundation establishment cultivators, no one cared about the Wang family's foundation establishment pills. The three of them built their foundation on the same day, so the possibility of the remaining foundation establishment pills was not high. Moreover, the 7 foundation establishment cultivators of the Wang family, if all of them grew up, they would also be a terrifying force. Although the outside world did not know how high Wang Shi's talent was, everyone knew that he was the hope of the Wang family's rise. The Liang family's decline was obvious, and they were unable to stop the Wang family's rise. The Yang family had been an ally of the Wang family for hundreds of years, and there were no cracks in their relationship. If there were no major exceptions, the Wang family's rise was set. In less than 100 years, the Wang family might become a Zifu family. No one was willing to offend a future Zifu family for a foundation establishment pill that might not exist. The rumors about the foundation establishment pill passed just like that. The outside world did not pay much attention to Wang Daoyuan's 5 elements cultivation technique inheritance. People who cultivated the 5 elements cultivation technique were originally strong in battle. Wang Daoyuan was at most a little too strong. But after all, he inherited the ancient cultivation technique, so it was reasonable for him to be strong. None of the clans had any foundation establishment cultivators with 5 spiritual roots, so there was no point in snatching the inheritance. The Wang family's show was over, but the Liang family's show was still ongoing. The Liang clan had been too arrogant for the past 300 years. They had wantonly bullied and humiliated the surrounding clans. The other clans were angry, but they didn't dare to say anything. Now that they saw the Liang family being unlucky, the families that were being bullied were naturally happy. The Liang family's usual actions, such as suppressing the Wang family, who hated the Wang clan the most. Without a doubt, it was the cruel Sun Palace. The Wang family's patriarch had no enmity with the Liang family, so why was the Liang family so active in suppressing the Wang family? Now that news of the Liang family possibly colluding with the cruel Sun Palace and bullying the Wang family and the surrounding families had spread out, it was a huge matter. This action was obviously to avenge the cruel Sun Palace and disturb the rear of the Netherworld sect. Very quickly, rumors about the Liang family's patriarch's good friend appeared on the market. The rumors listed all of Liang Liang's good friends from when he was young. Those who joined the cruel Sun Palace, those who died at the hands of the Wang clan ancestor, and those who became elders of the cruel Sun Palace were all clearly stated. Most importantly, these things were all proven to be true. As for the source of this rumor, it was obvious that it was from the Yang family. There were quite a few people who knew about this, and all of the veteran Zifu disciples knew a bit. However, this matter was the first to spread throughout Clear Glass City. The only Zifu clans in Clear Glass City were the Yang clan and the Liang clan. It was impossible for the Liang clan to spread rumors about their own clan, so it could only be done by the Yang clan. Now the Liang clan no longer dared to be arrogant. Their foundation establishment cultivators would stay in the clear sky peak to cultivate when they had nothing to do. They simply did not dare to show their faces. Other than doing business, the clan's disciples would never take a step out of their own territory, for fear of being caught by others and making a big deal out of it. The Liang clan was a coward, and the Wang clan had 3 more foundation establishment cultivators. Their safety was guaranteed. Wang Daoyuan quietly left the Jade Spring Mountain and headed to the eastern border of the family. He took down a spirit mountain and used it as the first transit point for the family to enter the 5 elements secret realm. This time, the Netherworld sect had rewarded him with a level 2 spirit armor, the dragon armor, and 5 level 3 spirit talismans. The Wang family did not have a rank 3 talisman master inheritance, and no one would sell a rank 3 inheritance on the market. Therefore, if he wanted to become a rank 3 talisman master, he could only rely on himself. As for the way to do so, he could only study these level 3 spirit talismans. The dragon armor was made from the skin of a level 2 spirit beast, the armored crocodile. Second brother Wang Daoxing and younger brother Wang Daoyin accompanied him. Although Wang Daoxing had become an elder of the family, he did not have the ability to take charge. Thus, he became a steward of the Hall of Guardians. Wang Daoyin was already in his 30s and had just reached the 7th level of Qi refinement. Among the 100 arts of cultivation, he had chosen weapon refinement. The Wang clan's weapon refinement inheritance was only level 1. It was not a problem for him to build a foundation, but he could forget about the rest. However, the family was now very wealthy, and it was time to nurture a weapon refinement master. After all, there were so many mines in Spiritwood. Without a weapon refinement master, they could only sell raw materials. It was too much of a loss. Coincidentally, Wang Daoyin did not have much talent in alchemy, talisman crafting, or spirit plants. Only his talent in weapon refinement was good, so the family arranged for him to learn weapon refinement. The Wang clan did not have a weapon refinement master, so no one taught him the basics. He could only learn by himself. After reaching adulthood, he was sent to guard the Mirror Iron Mountain. Coincidentally, there was hematite there, and there were enough raw materials for him to practice refining and forging materials. After Wang Daoyuan received the 5 Elements Spiritual Master's inheritance, he sorted out the weapon refinement knowledge and passed it to him. Relying on his good talent and more than 20 years of hard work, he was now a level 1 weapon refinement master. This level could only be considered average among his peers. However, considering that he had relied on himself to learn, it was not easy to achieve this. This time he brought the 2 of them with him to give them a chance to gain experience and accumulate some contribution points. Wang Daoyuan's target was a highland called Linji Mountain. The terrain of this mountain was a bit like a cow's hoof. There were 2 higher terrains on the north and south sides and a depression in the middle. According to him, it would be better to call it Cow Hoof Mountain. It sounded more intimate. He did not know which senior had given it the name Linji Mountain. Linji Mountain was located 1,600 to 1,700 li east of Jade Spring Peak, less than 100 li away from the outer border of the Sky/Mountain Range. The 2 highlands on the north and south sides of Linji Mountain were about the same in shape and area. They were roughly oval in shape, with a maximum length of more than 10 li from east to west and a maximum width of 5 to 6 li from north to south. The height was about 300 zhang and the top was relatively flat. Furthermore, the vegetation was lush and there were few rocks. It was extremely suitable for opening up spirit fields. The depression in the middle was only 100 zhang wide, and a drawbridge could be built to connect the north and south. The 2 highlands each had a level 2 would attribute spirit vein. If there were no demon beasts attacking such a good place, it could be used as the foundation of a foundation establishment clan. The level 2 demon beasts on the 2 level 2 spirit veins were at most level 2 intermediate. With Wang Daoyuan's strength and spirit beasts, it would not take much effort to take down such demon beasts. However, he had to make as little noise as possible. If there was a huge commotion or the stalemate lasted for too long, it would alarm the surrounding demon beasts and they would be in big trouble. Chapter 191. Since he had to be as fast as possible and make as little noise as possible, then he could only use his wits and not force his way in. First, he released the soul-chasing bees to investigate properly and see what kind of demonic beast was entrenched on Linji Mountain. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the soul-chasing bees that went to investigate all returned. According to the information that the soul-chasing bees found, there was only 1 low-grade rank 2 demonic beast on this Linji Mountain. This demonic beast was called the Crimson Fire Ape. It had a body of red hair and its innate spell was fire control. Its temper was also very irritable. The Crimson Fire Ape's cultivation could reach middle grade rank 2 at most. This Crimson Fire Ape still had room to grow. However, Wang Daoyuan was not interested in subduing it. It was best to nurture a spirit beast that recognized its master from young. Otherwise it would not be obedient. If the Black Ape did not have the Horned Thunder Ape bloodline and had an extremely high growth limit, Wang Daoyuan would not spend so much effort to subdue it. The Crimson Fire Ape was only a middle-grade rank 2 demonic beast at most. It did not have any special abilities, so it was useless to keep it. The opponent was a rank 2 demonic beast. Wang Daoxing and Wang Daoyin could not help. If they were close, they would be easily injured. Therefore, Wang Daoyuan let them stay outside the range of Heaven/Mountain Range. After taking down Linji Mountain, he would let them help clean up the surrounding rank 1 demonic beasts. As for this Crimson Fire Ape, it was better to leave it to the Black Ape to deal with. It was just nice to see how capable it was. Previously, when he subdued it, he relied on Yun Yi's flying advantage to crush the Black Ape, forcing it to only throw lightning balls. The close combat that ape-type demonic beasts were best at was not used at all. Furthermore, he had already subdued the Black Ape for close to a month. This guy had to be served half a caddy of crimson blood wine every day. He had to let it do some work. Otherwise, wouldn't it treat him like a lord? Taking out the Black Ape from the spirit beast pouch, he pointed at Linji Mountain and said, "Thunder Ape, there's a Crimson Fire Ape on this mountain. Go and kill it." Wang Daoyuan named it. This guy's intelligence was close to an ordinary adult and had high requirements for a name. It was not willing to call it Little Thunder, Thunder, or Black Ape. Finally, it was satisfied to call it Thunder Ape. Hearing Wang Daoyuan's words, the Thunder Ape extended its hand towards him. He wanted benefits, and the benefits were naturally wine. Wang Daoyuan said sternly, "How are you going to fight when you're drunk?" The lightning ape sat on the ground and refused to get up no matter what. It was almost rolling on the ground. Wang Daoyuan had no choice but to take out a white jade wine pot. This wine pot was not big and could only hold half a caddy of wine. The thunder ape was a pure drunkard. It would drink as much as it was given until it collapsed. Fortunately, he didn't put it into the space of the spirit pearl. Otherwise, the hundreds of jars of wine stored in the cellar would all be gone. The thunder ape snatched the jug of wine and did not drink from the spout. Instead, it opened the lid and poured the wine into its mouth. The jug of wine was emptied in just a few breaths' time. The thunder ape returned the wine jug to Wang Daoyuan and burped. After that, he used all 4 of his limbs to quickly climb up Linji Mountain. Just as the thunder ape climbed up Linji Mountain, it heard an ape's roar. Wang Daoyuan immediately rode on Yunyi and flew into the sky. He overlooked Linji Mountain and watched the battle between the thunder ape and the red fire ape. The thunder ape didn't know how to conceal its aura. Just as it climbed to the top of the mountain, the red fire ape sensed that there were enemies. There was an ape's roar, and the red fire ape drilled out from the bushes with a rod in its hand. The red fire ape was covered in red fur and was over 3 meters tall. The rod in its hand was made of wood and was over 6 meters long. This rod might be emitting the spirit energy waves of a Tier 2 inferior grade spirit item, but it didn't have any traces of refinement. It should be a branch of some spirit tree that the red fire ape used as a weapon. When the red fire ape saw the thunder ape's 10-meter tall body, it was a little afraid. The thunder ape didn't take advantage of it and circulated its spirit energy, shrinking its body to 3 meters tall. Wang Daoyuan was stunned. He knew that some demonic beasts could change their body size, but it was usually only Tier 3 demonic beast. He didn't expect the thunder ape to know it too. If he knew, he would have made it smaller. He was only as tall as the thunder ape's thigh, and it was too embarrassing. After the thunder ape shrank to the size of the red fire ape, the red fire ape finally had some confidence. The thunder ape might have a high cultivation level, but its appearance was similar to a regular black ape. The black ape was a weaker Tier 2 demonic beast, and its innate ability could only strengthen its body. It couldn't be compared to the red fire ape's fire control. Since the thunder ape had invaded the red fire ape's territory, how could the red fire ape back off? The red fire ape wielded a long rod and struck at the thunder ape. The thunder ape might have the horned thunder ape's bloodline, but it was more similar to the black ape. Its body was tough enough, and it wasn't afraid of the red fire ape in close combat. It clenched its fists and faced the red fire ape. The red fire ape brandished its long rod and struck from the thunder ape's left side. The thunder ape took a step forward and caught the red fire ape's long rod with its left hand, holding it tightly. The red fire ape tried to retrieve the long rod, but it was a pity that the difference in strength was too big. It tried a few times but failed. The thunder ape grabbed the long rod with its left hand and punched at the red fire ape's head with its right hand. The thunder ape was much stronger than the red fire ape. If this punch landed on the red fire ape's head, the battle would be over. The red fire ape wasn't stupid. It immediately let go of the long rod in its hand and used its arms to block the thunder ape's punch. Unfortunately, this punch was too fast and the red fire ape's right arm couldn't keep up. It could only block with its left arm. The result was obvious. The red fire ape was sent flying 4 to 5 feet away. If a human Foundation establishment cultivator was hit by this punch, they would have lost the ability to resist even if they didn't die. However, the red fire ape had thick skin and could still stand up after taking this punch. Its left arm was trembling a little and its head was a little dazed, but it wasn't seriously injured. The thunder ape was also quite graceful. It threw the long rod in its hand to the red fire ape. The red fire ape caught the long rod. It knew that it couldn't beat the thunder ape in terms of physical strength. So it decided to use its strength and use fire elemental spells to attack from a distance. It opened its mouth and shot out a ball of flame the size of a bowl at the thunder ape. The thunder ape also channeled its spirit energy, covering its right hand with a layer of light blue spirit energy. When the fireballs flew in front of it, the thunder ape waved its right hand left and right like it was swatting away flies, scattering the 2 fireballs. The red fire ape saw that the fireballs were useless and spat out a ball of flame to swallow the thunder ape. The thunder ape quickly dodged and avoided the flames. The red fire ape's 2 spells didn't harm the thunder ape at all. but ignited the surrounding vegetation. Wang Daoyuan naturally wouldn't watch the surrounding vegetation burn. This was all his family's property. He cast the level 2 spell, Sweet Rain spell. A black cloud hundreds of feet in diameter appeared in the sky. A moment later a downpour came. The flames that the red fire ape released were all extinguished. The vegetation that had been half dead from the fire started to have life again. Sweet Rain spell was a spell of a ling plant farmer. The rain that came down was rich in ling energy. It could be used to heal ling plants and replenish the ling energy used in the ling fields. However, it used up too much ling energy, so ling plant farmers wouldn't easily use it. Because the Wang family's ling fields were watered by Jade Dragon spring water, they basically didn't need this. The battle between the Thunder Ape and the Red Fire Ape continued. The Thunder Ape used its higher cultivation and stronger physical body to easily dodge the Red Fire Ape's attacks. Also, the Thunder Ape had a playful attitude, only dodging and not attacking. The Red Fire Ape couldn't do anything to it. In the end, the Red Fire Ape couldn't take the humiliation anymore. It didn't cast long-range fire elemental spells, but gathered crimson red fire ling energy on the surface of its body. Even the long rod in its hand was covered in a layer of fire elemental ling energy. It held the long rod and walked step by step towards the Thunder Ape. It looked like a flame giant. Chapter 192. This was a move used by demonic beasts that specialized in close combat. It looked like it was wrapping all of its spirit energy around its body, but it was actually infusing it into its bones and muscles. When it attacked, its spirit energy and physical strength would be mixed together, greatly increasing its physical strength. When it hit its opponent, not only would its physical strength cause direct damage, but its spirit energy would also invade its opponent's body, damaging its meridians and organs. Seeing that it was going all out, the Thunder Ape stopped fooling around and gathered a lot of thunder spirit energy on its fists. The Red Fire Ape rushed up and waved its long rod. With the support of fire spirit energy, the Red Fire Ape's attack speed and strength had greatly improved. The Thunder Ape didn't dare to take its attacks head-on. It could only rely on its advantage in speed to dodge the attacks and wait for an opportunity to launch a sneak attack. The Red Fire Ape's spirit energy was severely depleted and couldn't maintain it for long. In at most 15 minutes, the Red Fire Ape's spirit energy would be depleted. The Thunder Ape only gathered spirit energy on its hands and didn't use much of its spirit energy. It could fight for a few hours without a problem. The Red Fire Ape wasn't an ordinary beast. The continuous battle had stimulated the battle instinct flowing in its blood. His moves became faster and faster, and the power of his moves became stronger and stronger. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the Thunder Ape had been dodging and defending. Wang Daoyuan was a little anxious. The two giant apes had been fighting for too long and could easily alert the surrounding demonic beasts. If he hadn't released the soul-chasing bees to guard the surroundings and didn't notice any movements from other rank 2 demonic beasts, he would have killed the Red Fire Ape long ago. However, the battle quickly took a turn. The Red Fire Ape took advantage of the Thunder Ape's weakness and hit its left shoulder with its rod. This strike was powerful and heavy, and it also carried fire attribute spiritual power. A charred wound appeared on the Thunder Ape's shoulder. Wang Daoyuan could even smell the smell of burnt flesh. The Thunder Ape was completely enraged. Blue thunder spirit energy flickered on its left shoulder and forced the fire spirit energy from the Red Fire Ape's rod out of its body. Then it merged all of its spirit energy into its bones and muscles. Its whole body flickered with blue light and lightning from time to time. At this moment, a single horn appeared on its forehead again. After transforming into its strongest state, the Thunder Ape didn't dodge anymore and directly faced the Red Fire Ape. The Crimson Fire Ape swung his staff again and the Thunder Ape met it with a punch. With a cracking sound, the long staff made from the branch of a Tier 2 spirit wood was broken by the Thunder Ape's punch. The Crimson Fire Ape was shocked by its power and retreated. The Thunder Ape was still fuming after being hit by it. How could it let it off? He rushed forward and used his right shoulder to hit the Crimson Fire Ape's chest, sending it flying. The Thunder Ape's attacks were also infused with lightning-type spiritual energy. The lightning attribute spiritual energy entered the Red Fire Ape's body, and the Red Fire Ape was instantly paralyzed. It couldn't resist even if it wanted to. The Thunder Ape did not stop there. The crimson fire ape was sent flying, and before it landed on the ground, it chased after it and punched it in the stomach. This time the crimson fire ape flew more than 30 meters away and crashed into a large tree before coming to a stop. The crimson fire ape leaned against the tree, and before it could catch its breath, the lightning ape rushed over and landed dozens of punches on its body. Soon the crimson fire ape died. Wang Daoyuan was frightened by the lightning ape's angry appearance. If he didn't have the advantage of being able to fly, he would have been beaten to death by it. After killing the crimson fire ape, the thunder ape's anger finally subsided. The spiritual energy in its body also returned to its body. The injury on the thunder ape's left shoulder was very serious, but it didn't care at all. It stretched out its hand towards Wang Daoyuan, who was in the air. Wang Daoyuan ordered Yun Yi to land on the ground and passed a bottle of wine to the thunder ape. The thunder ape snatched the bottle of wine and gulped it down. Wang Daoyuan used a rejuvenation technique on the wound on its left shoulder, and the wound quickly healed. This was only a superficial wound. The internal injury caused by the fire spiritual energy still needed to rest for a period of time before it could completely recover. After the thunder ape finished drinking, it returned the bottle of wine to Wang Daoyuan and found a random tree to rest. Wang Daoyuan still had to deal with the aftermath. The crimson fire ape's corpse had to be dealt with. After all, ape-type demonic beasts looked more like humans. It wasn't appropriate to eat it like other demonic beasts. He used a flowing sand technique to wrap around the crimson fire ape's corpse. 50 to 60 breaths later, the crimson fire ape's corpse turned into a pile of ash. Then he noticed the large tree behind the crimson fire ape. This was a peach tree. The trunk was very thick and needed 2 people to wrap their arms around it. The crimson fire ape had been sent flying and crashed into this peach tree. Then it had been pressed against the tree by the thunder ape. This peach tree was completely undamaged. It seemed that it wasn't a normal ling wood. From the ling energy vibrations that this peach tree gave off, it was a second-tier low-grade ling wood. Normal low-grade ling wood would be broken after being tossed around for such a long time. But this peach tree was completely undamaged. Most peach trees looked the same. There were peaches on the trees, but they had just grown and weren't as big as grapes. It was hard to recognize the species. When he asked the clan to send a ling plant farmer to take care of it, he would know what kind of peach tree this was. He used his consciousness to scan the surroundings and found that there really weren't many peach trees here. There were 60 to 70 in total, but the other peach trees were all smaller. Among them, the bigger ones were only as thick as an adult's arm. It couldn't compare to this large peach tree that needed 2 people to wrap their arms around it. Disregarding the species of this peach tree, how could he let go of a second-tier spirit plant that could bear fruit? He found a peach tree that was more than 5 feet tall and as thick as an adult's arm and transplanted it into the space of the spirit bead. He planted it in an empty plot of land that was reserved around the life spiritual fire. The life spiritual fire was already 5 to 6 inches tall at this time. The radius of its influence had also reached more than 6 feet. Wang Daoyuan cut some branches from the hidden cloud tea and inserted them around the life spiritual fire. Currently, he had already successfully nurtured more than 10 tea saplings that were more than a foot tall. Wang Daoyuan named the peach tree saplings that carried the life spiritual fire peach. More than 500 years had passed in the space, but the life spiritual peach was still as unmoving as a mountain. Wang Daoyuan walked towards the depths of the peach forest. Previously, the crimson fire ape had walked out from here. Soon he arrived in front of a huge boulder. This boulder was more than 10 feet tall and should be the highest peak of Linji Mountain. Below the boulder was a cave that was more than 10 feet tall. He used his divine sense to investigate it. There were no obvious fluctuations of spirit energy inside, so it should be safe. He went straight into the cave. This cave wasn't big. It was 6 feet wide, 3 feet long, and more than 6 feet tall. There was only a stone couch that was covered with hay inside. This should be the crimson fire ape's nest. In the innermost part of the cave there was a pile of wood. Wang Daoyuan was a little curious. Did the crimson fire ape sell wood? He walked towards the pile of wood and casually picked one up to check it out. He could clearly feel that there was a large amount of liquid in the wood. He picked up the wood and carefully observed it. This wood was a tree trunk and it was a first-tier spirit plant. At one end of the tree trunk he found an obvious crack. He gently twisted it and the tree trunk separated along the crack. A strong fragrance of peaches and wine spread out. This crimson fire ape had really become a spirit. It actually knew how to use spirit peaches to make wine. If he knew that this crimson fire ape could make wine, he wouldn't have killed it. It was a pity that he couldn't kill this crimson fire ape. He took a sip. This fruit wine wasn't as strong as the crimson blood wine brewed by the 12th uncle. But after swallowing it, a fragrance lingered in his teeth and cheeks. It had a unique flavor. Moreover, the wine brewed by the spirit ape was much weaker and contained more spirit energy. It was more suitable for recovering spirit energy. Suddenly, a black figure with blue lightning jumped in from outside the cave. It turned out that the thunder ape had followed the fragrance of the wine and found its way here. It snatched the wine from Wang Daoyuan's hand and took a sip, revealing an intoxicated expression. Wang Daoyuan scolded with a smile. "You wastrel, you killed this crimson fire ape that knows how to make wine." The thunder ape looked at him and then at the wine in his hand with disdain. Chapter 193. Wang Daoyuan asked in pleasant surprise, "You know how to brew wine?" The lightning ape had a smug expression as it nodded. Wang Daoyuan suppressed the joy in his heart and said expressionlessly, "I'll give you a chance. If the wine you brew is good, I'll double your wine every day." Hearing this, the lightning ape became spirited and ran away with the 2 pieces of the tree trunk that contained the wine. The lightning ape looked down on the wine that the crimson fire ape made, so the wine it brewed was at least level 2 Ling wine. Wang Daoyuan felt that he was being black-hearted for a winemaker who could brew level 2 Ling wine and only got a salary of 1 caddy of crimson blood wine every day. Even if the lightning ape could make better wine, the wine made by the crimson fire ape could not be wasted. This wine tasted better than the crimson blood wine, had more Ling energy, and was not easy to get drunk on. It was very suitable for cultivators who did not have a high tolerance for alcohol and had a wider market than the crimson blood wine. The crimson blood wine was good, but the raw materials were all level 1 Ling medicines. Even if it was stored for many years, its potential was limited. The raw materials of the crimson fire ape's wine were level 2 Ling peaches and had much more potential in the cellar. It would be a pity to kill the crimson fire ape. The recipe for the wine could be analyzed from the distiller's grains. The crimson fire ape did not know how to make distiller's grains, so the distiller's grains it used were either natural distiller's grains, or they were like the homemade wine in his previous life without distiller's grains. If it was the former, then the raw materials of the distiller's grains would be mixed into the distiller's grains. An outsider like him would not be able to analyze it. It was more appropriate to leave it to the 12th uncle. He immediately sent a message to the 12th uncle to inform him of the situation and to have him arrange for a Ling plant farmer to come over and take care of these peach trees. After solving the problem of the Ling wine, he sent out Yun Yi to fetch second brother and Dao Yin. Wang Daoyuan walked out of the crimson fire ape's den and patrolled all of Linji Mountain. The peach forest and the crimson fire ape's den were both at the top of the South Mountain. The top of the South Mountain was relatively more rock, and the Ling plants that grew here were mainly Ling trees. It was not very suitable for Ling fields, but very suitable for orchards and trees. There were very few rocks on the North Mountain and the terrain was relatively flat. The spirit plants that grew there were also mostly low-growing spirit herbs. It was very suitable to open up a spirit field. In his opinion, it wouldn't be a problem to open up 40 to 50 mu of spirit fields on the Northern Mountain. In the middle of the North Mountain, there was about 10 mu of land that could be developed into a second-stage spiritual field. If it was given to a Ling plant farmer to manage, there would be more Ling fields. Not long after, Yun Yi brought second brother and Dao Yin over. Wang Daoyin stared at the peach trees as soon as he arrived and even broke the branches. After observing for a while, he said, "Brother, these peach trees should be golden silk peaches, which can grow into second-grade spiritual trees." The branches of the golden silk jade peach were extremely hard, and their strength was considered to be superior among the second-grade spiritual trees. They were very suitable for refining magic tools. They are limited by the grade of the spiritual veins in this place. If they are transplanted to the Jade Spring Peak, they will be able to grow into second-tier high-grade spiritual trees. Although Wang Daoyuan did not recognize the golden silk jade peach, he knew a thing or two about this type of spiritual wood. The fruit of the golden silk jade peach was dark green in the beginning. The fruit matured after 10 years, and only in the 2 days before it matured would the fruit quickly turn from dark green to golden yellow. The golden silk in its name did not come from the fruit but from the branches. The branches were densely covered in golden silk patterns, causing the wood to be very hard. It was one of the best among the second-grade spiritual trees. He looked at the branch that Wang Daoyin had broken. The fracture was densely covered in golden silk patterns, and was the same as described in some books. 2 hours later, the 12th uncle descended from the sky on his sword. After landing, he took off the Ling beast pouch at his waist and let out 2 people. It was 4th uncle Wang Xian and 5th brother Wang Daozong. The 2 of them walked the path of Ling plants. When they heard they had found a second-grade spiritual wood, they had hurried over and had the 12th uncle put them into the Ling beast pouch. The 2 surrounded the largest golden silk jade peach and carefully studied it. The 12th uncle also asked anxiously, "Where is the wine brewed by the spirit ape?" Wang Daoyuan pointed at the cave and said, "It's all in the cave." 12th uncle, I feel that the spirit ape's level of wine brewing is higher than yours. Wang Shi glanced at him and ignored him. He jogged into the cave. After a long while, 4th uncle Wang Shun patted the largest peach tree and said regretfully, "What a pity. If this golden silk jade peach grew on Jade Spring Peak, it would have long since become a high-grade second-rank spiritual tree." After saying this, he patrolled the north and south mountains and said to Wang Daozong, "Don't touch the south mountain. Leave it to grow golden silk jade peaches and some other spiritual wood. The north mountain is flat. With your ability, it won't be a problem to open up 15 mu of second-grade spiritual fields and 60 mu of first-grade spiritual fields. In the future, you will stay here to open up spiritual fields and take care of these spiritual plants." After a while, Wang Shui came out of the cave and said, "Keep all the spiritual plants here for the time being. The raw materials used by the Crimson Fire Ape to brew wine should all be spiritual plants in this area. If they are all uprooted, I won't even be able to cry. It won't be too late to open up spiritual fields after I've researched the recipe for this spiritual wine. Daozong will take care of these peach trees first. As for the production here, according to the old rules, Daoyuan, you take half. If the spiritual plants here are transplanted to other places, you will also get 30%. After saying this, he took out a storage pouch and handed it to Wang Daoyuan. "This is a second-grade low-grade formation. Use it first. In this heaven/mountain range, without the protection of a formation, we can be ambushed by demon beasts at any time." Wang Daoyuan took the storage pouch and hung it on his waist. 4th uncle and 5th brother dug up 3 finger-thick peach tree saplings and put them into the storage pouch, preparing to transplant them to Jade Spring Peak. After taking care of the peach tree saplings, 4th uncle and 12th uncle prepared to leave. Wang Daoyuan naturally couldn't let 4th uncle enter the spirit beast pouch again. He sent Yun-Yi to send the 2 back to Jade Spring Peak. Yun-Yi had now become the Wang family's dual-purpose flying tiger for passenger and cargo transport, and it was still enjoying itself. After 4th uncle and 12th uncle left, Wang Daoyuan took out more than 10 green jade formation discs. This formation was called the E-Wood Withering Formation. Through the formation, one could release common first-grade and second-grade wood attribute spells. The most important use of this formation was to nurture some spiritual plant seeds, such as the sawtooth vine. When the sawtooth vine seeds were placed in the formation and used the formation to cast a twining spell, their growth speed would be much faster. However, a formation set up with a formation disc didn't cover a large area. It could only protect the entire peach forest. For a spiritual mountain of the size of Linji Mountain, the entire mountaintop was extremely valuable. It would be best to set up a permanent formation core and cover the entire mountain. Unfortunately, to set up a permanent formation core, one needed a solid formation level. If one didn't know the way of formations, they couldn't set it up at all. Wang Daoyuan hadn't learned how to set up formations yet and didn't know how to connect to spirit veins. To activate this formation, the energy supply relied entirely on spirit stones. In the current situation, Linji Mountain had to have a foundation establishment cultivator guarding it at all times. Otherwise, demon beasts would want to occupy this territory very soon. If the formation wasn't enough to protect Linji Mountain, it had to be made up for in other ways. Wang Daoyuan scattered sawtooth vine seeds around the foot of Linji Mountain. Using the twining spell, the seeds sprouted rapidly. His wood attribute spiritual energy had the attribute of the fire of life. The sawtooth vines grew very lush. After spending 3 days and exhausting his spiritual energy several times, he cultivated a wall of sawtooth vines that was 10 feet wide and 6 feet tall around the entire Linji mountain. For second-grade demon beasts that couldn't fly, it was very difficult to cross this barrier. For the convenience of his clansmen, he even left a small curved path that could only allow one person to pass on the west side of Linji mountain. Chapter 194. Linji Mountain was the first transit point for the family to the Five Elements Mystery Realm. To relocate the family without arousing suspicion, the first thing to do was to make this place safe. Before the Linji Mountain could support the safety of thousands of mortals, there was no point in building the next transit point. Wang Daoyuan had already chosen the next transit point. It was called Fallen Dragon Ridge. Fallen Dragon Ridge was 300 miles east of Linji Mountain. It was not a lone mountain like Linji Mountain, but a continuous chain of small mountains. Fallen Dragon Ridge was like a giant dragon, winding and spiraling on the ground. It was more than 1,000 miles from east to west. These days he had sent out soul-chasing bees to investigate. After losing more than 100 soul-chasing bees, he had basically figured out the situation of Fallen Dragon Ridge. There was a large upper-grade Tier 2 spirit vein that was almost 1,000 miles long on Fallen Dragon Ridge. There were also many smaller Tier 1 spirit veins around it. If such a huge mountain range was developed, thousands of acres of spirit fields would not be a problem. Even Tier 2 spirit fields would be a few hundred acres. However, it was extremely difficult to take down this mountain range. There were no Tier 3 demonic beasts on Fallen Dragon Ridge. However, there were more than 20 Tier 2 demonic beasts. There were as many as 5 upper-grade Tier 2 demonic beasts. Given the current strength of the Wang family, it was impossible to take it down. They went around Fallen Dragon Ridge and opened up another passage. To go around 1,000 miles long mountain range, they would have to build at least 5 or 6 more transit points, which meant that they would need 5 or 6 foundation establishment cultivators to guard it. Furthermore, no matter how they went around, they would not be able to completely leave 1,000 miles long mountain range. The passage and transit points were always under the threat of the demonic beasts of Fallen Dragon Ridge. There was no safety to speak of. If they could take down Fallen Dragon Ridge, they would not have to take a detour and would also greatly reduce the number of transit points. The entire Fallen Dragon Ridge was protected by 2 or 3 foundation establishment cultivators with an upper-grade Tier 2 formation. It was extremely safe. The distance between the Five Elements Mystery Realm and Linji Mountain was only a little more than 3,000 miles. The easternmost part of Fallen Dragon Ridge was only 1,000 miles away from the Five Elements Mystery Realm. After managing Fallen Dragon Ridge, they would only need to build 1 or 2 more transit points to reach the Five Elements Mystery Realm. Taking down Fallen Dragon Ridge was not something that could be done now. Once his cultivation reached the late stage of the Foundation Establishment Realm, he would be able to quickly kill second-rank high-grade demonic beast. Only then would he be able to go to Fallen Dragon Ridge. It would take an average cultivator at least 50 to 60 years to go from the first level of Foundation Establishment to the late stage of Foundation Establishment. He had the 5 Spirits Immortal art, which allowed him to condense 2 types of spirit seeds. His cultivation speed had increased significantly, and with the unlimited cultivation resources, 20 to 30 years would be enough. Taking down Fallen Dragon Ridge was not something that could be done overnight. The most important thing now was to practice the legacy of the Five Elements Spiritual Master. At the very least, he would need to be able to set up a second-tier low-grade array formation on his own and be able to protect the entire Linji Mountain with the array formation. He released the Thunder Ape Yun-E and Jin-E to protect Linji Mountain. If any demonic beasts dared to approach, they would kill them immediately. He entered the Crimson Fire Ape's nest and went into seclusion. Wang Daoyuan took out his doppelganger Qi Yun from the spiritual pearl. He used the soul-splitting blade to create a new subsoul from his own soul. After nurturing it for a while, he took out the soul fragment that the clone had nurtured for many years and injected the new soul fragment into the clone's sea of consciousness. After fusing the subsoul fragment with the main soul, his spiritual sense cultivation only increased by 1%. There was no point in using a Qi refinement cultivator to nurture a subsoul. In the future, he would have to refine a few Foundation Establishment doppelgangers. Of course, the value of Qi Yun's doppelganger was not in increasing the spiritual sense cultivation. The main value was the array formation cultivation experience. After all, Qian was once an upper-grade second-tier array formation master. After fusing with the subsoul fragment, Wang Daoyuan began to learn the array formation experience from the subsoul fragment. 3 days later, after looking through all the array formation experience and techniques in the subsoul fragment, he began to practice setting up arrays. The Tao of array formations was similar to the Tao of talismans. For talismans, one would first learn about runes, while for array formations one would first learn about array patterns. There were obvious similarities between runes and array patterns. Ordinary runes were many basic runes that were combined into a large rune according to a certain pattern. When this large rune was injected with spiritual energy and spiritual sense, it would be able to cast a spell. Array patterns were also formed from basic array patterns. Through different arrangements and combinations with different array core materials, they would have different effects. There were many similarities between basic runes and basic array patterns, but there were also many differences. Mastering one method, mastering all methods. As an upper-grade second-tier talisman master, Wang Daoyuan had a deep understanding of runes. It was not difficult for him to practice array patterns that were similar to runes. Coupled with Qian's experience and techniques, he could be said to have made rapid progress in the Tao of array formations. 3 months later, he was already able to set up all the common first-tier arrays and became an upper-grade first-tier array formation master. The bottleneck between an upper-grade Tier 1 array master and a lower-grade Tier 2 array master was nothing to him. As long as he practiced more, he would be able to master second-tier array patterns and quickly become an upper-grade second-tier array formation master. In these 3 months, with the Thunder Ape holding the fort, no second-tier monsters dared to come and seek death. Second brother Wang Daoxing and younger brother Wang Daoyin also often went out to bully first-tier monsters. Wang Daoxing was at the peak of qi refinement and cultivated the glassy golden body art. No first-tier monsters could take him down. Wang Daoyin was at the 7th level of qi refinement. Although he did not have a suitable lightning attribute body tempering technique and only cultivated the most basic thunder shock art. However, with his special body and sufficient supply of spiritual items, Wang Daoyuan's physical strength was not much weaker than Wang Daoxing's. With just his physical strength, he could defeat ordinary cultivators at the peak of qi refinement. Wang Daoyuan was practicing inscribing second-tier array patterns when he suddenly received a message from the 12th uncle, asking Yun-Yi to return to the Cloud Spring Peak and bring some people to Linji Mountain. He released Yun-Yi and asked it to go to the Jade Spring Peak as a passenger flying tiger. 4 hours later, Yun-Yi carried 4 people back to Linji Mountain. One of them was the 12th uncle Wang Shi. As soon as he landed on the ground, he said excitedly, "After 3 months of hard work by 4th brother, 7th brother and I, we finally figured out the formula for the Red Fire Ape's spirit wine. The main ingredient of this spirit wine is a large amount of golden jade peaches, which contain a lot of spiritual energy. The effect of this wine to recover spiritual energy is much stronger than the red blood brew, so we named it Spirit Peach Dew. The Spirit Peach Dew's alcohol strength is relatively low. The alcohol strength of 3 caddies of Spirit Peach Dew is comparable to 1 caddy of red blood brew. I don't really like this kind of wine, but those cultivators who can't hold their liquor should like it." We also found more than 10 kinds of spiritual items in the distiller's grains. Because the amount is relatively small, they should all be the ingredients of the distiller's yeast. The only ingredient used to make the wine is the golden jade peaches. Fortunately, the spiritual items needed for the Spirit Peach Dew distiller's yeast can be found in Linji Mountain. The current wine formula is not perfect. The environment and other conditions needed to make the wine, as well as the amount of each spiritual item in the yeast formula, still need to be tried a few more times. I still have to deal with the clan's affairs and can't stay here for a long time, so I sent Daoheng over to study the yeast formula. Wang Daoheng was ranked 17th in the Dao generation. His cultivation talent was not bad. He was just in his 30s and was already at the 8th level of qi refinement. His fighting strength was not weak and his personality was also relatively steady. He was the material to take charge of a department. When his cultivation broke through to the peak of qi refinement, he could completely take charge of a department. He had no talent in pills, talismans or spiritual plants, but he liked to make wine. Moreover, his alcohol tolerance was not bad. Since young, he was regarded as the successor of the 12th uncle and was carefully nurtured. Now he was the second winemaker in the clan. Chapter 195. The other two people who came with the 12th uncle were the 19th uncle Wang Shouzhong and the 18th uncle Wang Daoping. The 19th uncle Wang Shouzhong's cultivation was average. He was in his 60s and had reached the 8th level of qi refining. He was very low-key and meticulous in his work. He used to manage the cutting of trees in a forest in the north of the family. Now he was a steward of the mining mountain hall. He came here on the orders of the mining mountain hall master to guard the Lingji mountain and manage the spiritual wood. Although the 19th uncle's talent was average, after the reform of the salary system he was treated better and had more cultivation resources. In the future he would have a great chance to break through to the peak of qi refining and become a family elder. The 18th uncle Wang Daoping was a rising talent in the family in recent years. He was a cultivator with 3 spiritual roots. His wood spiritual root was 7 inches and 8 inches. He had reached the 9th level of qi refining at the age of 30. He majored in alchemy and had good talent. He was already a first-rank mid-grade alchemist and was the heir that the 7th uncle focused on training. The two of them came here to help the 5th brother Wang Daozong. One helped manage the spiritual wood, while the other helped manage the spiritual herbs. The second purpose was to fight for the interests of each hall. After the family's power was divided into 9 halls and 2 divisions, there was also competition among the halls. The most obvious was the medicine hall and the mining mountain hall. In addition, the family implemented a system of more work, more pay. As long as one worked more, one would get more salary. Each hall was also working hard to improve their performance. These 2 halls had to deal with the spiritual plants hall. The spiritual herbs and spiritual wood needed to occupy the spiritual fields during the growing process. There were only so many spiritual fields in the family, and they had to be planted separately. If more spiritual wood was planted, less spiritual herbs would be planted, and the medicine hall's interests would be damaged. On the other hand, if more spiritual herbs were planted, less spiritual wood would be planted, and the mining mountain hall's interests would be damaged. However, the first elder and the patriarch were suppressing them, and the spiritual plants hall was mediating the relationship. The medicine hall and the mining mountain hall had always been in a state of healthy competition and did not cause damage to the family's interests. On the contrary, the competition between the 2 halls increased the work efficiency. In this way, the patriarch and the elder's attitude toward this matter was to maintain the status quo. The 12th uncle Wang Shi told the 3 of them something and returned to the jade spring peak on his sword. After the 3 of them greeted Wang Daoyuan, they went about their own business. Wang Daoyuan was too lazy to care about these things. As long as it didn't harm the family's interests, they could fight however they wanted. If he were to harm the family's interests for the sake of the hall, then his position as the elder of punishments was not just for show. The 3 of them walked away to do their own work. The 12th uncle had already confirmed the recipe for the spirit peach dew, so they could shovel away the unnecessary spirit plants and open up the spirit fields. Since there were 3 laborers, he naturally had to help. As a foundation establishment cultivator, Wang Daoyuan naturally did not need to do such menial work. He continued to study the second-tier array patterns. His current state was that he had 1 foot in the door to become a Tier 2 array master. After some hard work he would become a Tier 2 array master. At this moment he was not in the mood to care about other things. All his energy was focused on inscribing. After a month of hard work he was finally able to skillfully inscribe Tier 2 formation runes. Next he would be able to officially set up Tier 2 low-grade formations. The first Tier 2 low-grade formation was naturally the Yi Wood Withering formation. There was a ready-made formation disc at Lingji Mountain. The formation disc was to shrink the formation eye and inscribe all the formation runes needed for the formation eye onto a Dharma treasure. 4 simple formations such as Tier 1 Spirit Gathering Formation, Sound Insulation Formation, etc. 1 formation disc could complete all the formation runes and formation eyes. If it was a complex formation there would be more than a dozen formation discs. Formations with multiple formation discs also needed to be inscribed with formation runes to communicate with other formation discs. Other than formation discs, there were also formation flags and other methods of setting up formations. The principles were about the same. Formation flags could also be considered a special kind of formation disc. Because they had to forge formation discs, formation masters usually knew a little about weapon forging. The forging of formation discs did not have high requirements for weapon forging skills. Even formation discs for Tier 2 high-grade formations only required a Tier 1 weapon forger to forge. If one did not use formation discs and directly set up a fixed formation, then there were no requirements for weapon forging. As long as the material used for the formation eye was sturdy enough and its attribute did not clash with the formation, it would be fine. The formation eyes needed to be connected with formation runes. If it was on the stone floor, these formation runes could be carved directly on the stone. Of course, it was best to use spiritual items for the formation eye. If he wanted to set up the wood withering formation, it was best to use spiritual wood for the formation eye. His family was in the spiritual wood business. How could they lack this thing? The formation runes connecting the various formation eyes were carved on the iron quinoa wood. The iron quinoa wood was sturdy and could withstand more spirit power impact. The family had plenty of this stuff. He just had to send a message to the 12th uncle and send Yun-Yi the freight flying tiger to pull it back. As for the material for the formation eye, it was best to use the golden jade peaches that were native to Linji Mountain. The golden jade peaches grew here and were more suited to the spirit chi of Linji Mountain. Coupled with the fact that the material was very sturdy, it was perfect to create the formation eye. During this period of time, fifth brother Wang Daozong had been pruning the peach trees. Many branches had been cut off from the largest peach tree. Many of the branches of the large peach tree had reached the level of Tier 2 low-grade spiritual wood and could be used as the formation eye. Controlling his flying sword, he chopped off a piece of peach wood that was more than a foot long and as thick as a bowl and slowly inscribed formation runes on it. Compared to elixirs, talismans and weapons, setting up a formation was a huge project. The time required was much longer than refining elixirs and talismans. It was common to take months to set up a large-scale formation. However, there was also an advantage to setting up a formation. It had a high tolerance for mistakes. If there was a mistake, there was still a chance to remedy it. It was unlike refining elixirs and talismans where a mistake would cause the entire formation to be scrapped. When inscribing the formation runes, if there was a mistake, he could just cut it off and reinscribe it. If he failed many times, he would only lose a piece of formation eye material at most. The wood withering formation had a total of 10 formation eyes. Wang Daoyuan used more than 30 pieces of materials to complete the inscription. After that, it was time to inscribe the connecting formation runes on the iron quinoa wood. This was very easy. Although the workload was more than the formation eye, there were fewer changes in the connecting formation runes and the difficulty was low. Since it was his first time setting up such a large-scale formation, he was more cautious. He paid attention to the details and took more than a month to finish inscribing all the formation runes. The task of connecting the formation eyes was relatively simple. He just had to place the formation eyes according to the predetermined positions and use the connecting formation runes to connect the various formation eyes. At this moment, he just had to place spirit stones in each formation eye to activate the formation. However, such a formation consumed too many spirit stones. There were 2 spirit veins on Linji Mountain, so he naturally had to make use of them. The formation runes used to connect the spirit veins were similar to the connecting formation runes between the formation eyes. Furthermore, they were even simpler. He had already inscribed them with the iron quinoa wood. He just had to dig the spirit veins underground and place the iron quinoa wood that was inscribed with the connecting formation runes to connect the spirit veins to the formation eyes. After setting up everything, Wang Daoyuan came to the core formation eye and used his spiritual sense to activate the formation runes. Spiritual chi flowed from the spirit veins underground through the connecting formation runes and entered the formation eyes. Spiritual chi flowed between the various formation eyes. In just a few breaths of time, the entire formation was activated. If one looked at it from afar, the entire Linji Mountain was shrouded in a faintly discernible green fog. The formation covered a range of 300 meters away from the Linji Mountain. Even the sawtooth vine wall that he had set up earlier was covered by the formation. He tried to activate the formation and use the entanglement technique. The sawtooth vine wall grew rapidly. Without using any spirit energy, the sawtooth vine wall grew 3 meters tall. The wood withering formation was successfully set up. Chapter 196. Knowing that Wang Daoyuan had successfully set up a rank 2 formation and that the clan had its own rank 2 formation master, Wang Shui, as the clan leader, naturally had to run over to take a look. Riding his sword, he arrived at Lingji Mountain. Before entering the mountain, he could already see a faintly discernible green spirit qi enveloping the entire mountain. He didn't say anything in advance and directly rushed into the formation. When the formation was in an active state, it naturally reacted when someone entered. Wang Daoyuan immediately used the core of the formation to urge the sawtooth vines to attack the enemy. The sawtooth vines were quite easy to deal with targets that couldn't fly, but it was somewhat powerless to deal with enemies that could fly. No matter how powerful the formation was, it couldn't make a large number of sawtooth vines grow hundreds of feet in an instant. Attacking enemies in the air could only focus on growing a few sawtooth vines. But for Foundation establishment cultivators, a few sawtooth vines were nothing and could be easily cut off. Plants suitable for the entanglement technique were very rare, and he only had the sawtooth vines. The sawtooth vines were only rank 1 upper-grade spiritual plants and were simply not strong enough to deal with Foundation establishment cultivators. The entanglement technique was unreliable, so he could only use other wood attribute spells. For a time, common wood attribute spells such as wood thorn technique, wood sword technique and arrow rain technique suddenly appeared from everywhere and attacked the intruder. The intruder's strength was extraordinary, and a lot of spells couldn't take him down. However, the spells appeared without any pattern, and the intruder couldn't go any further. After a stalemate for an hour, the intruder retreated. Then the 12th uncle Wang Shi's voice came. "Daoyuan, it's me, I'm here to see if your formation is powerful." Wang Daoyuan had long discovered that it was the 12th uncle who came, but he wanted to test the formation, and he also happened to test the formation's power. Now that the 12th uncle had admitted defeat, he immediately stopped attacking. Wang Shi went up the mountain and smiled. "Daoyuan, this formation is indeed powerful, it can actually beat me to the point that I don't dare to enter. Ordinary rank 2 low-grade demonic beasts don't have much hope of coming out alive after entering the formation. Even rank 2 mid-grade demonic beasts can't do much. It's just that this sawtooth vine is too weak. If we could have a type of second-level vine, I'm afraid that even a second-level high-grade demonic beast would not be able to take advantage of it." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "A low-grade Tier 2 array formation can only be so. This Chilantou mountain was a rank 2 inferior spirit vein. Demonic beasts of a higher rank would not be interested in this place." Being able to take down a second-level low-grade demonic beast and intimidate a second-level mid-grade demonic beast was enough. As for rank 2 vines, it's not that easy to find. I stayed in Oasis for over 20 years and only found this sawtooth vine. The dragon crouching vine used to refine the Foundation establishment pill was also a vine. However, it couldn't grow quickly even if he used wood attribute spiritual power, so it wasn't suitable for the entanglement technique. Wang Shi smiled and said, "You don't, but I do." Wang Daoyuan was overjoyed and asked, "You really have a rank 2 vine? With your personality, if you had such a good thing, you would have already exchanged it for wine. Why would you keep it?" Wang Shi pretended to be angry and said, "Do you look down on me that much? Before I reached Foundation establishment, I wandered the world for over 30 years. How could I not have any gains? This vine of mine is not ordinary. It's one of the strongest rank 2 vines. Our Wang clan doesn't have any wood attribute cultivators who specialize in battle, so I've always kept it. Moreover, if I sell it, it will most likely fall into the hands of the Liang clan. Wouldn't that make me an enemy?" After he finished speaking, he took out a dozen dark red seeds from his storage pouch. The seeds were covered in thorns. Wang Daoyuan took the seeds and examined them. He said, "This seems to be the seed of the bloodthirsty vine. It can be said to be the nemesis of rank 2 demonic beasts. This is a rare item." Wang Shi smiled and said, "It is indeed the seed of the bloodthirsty vine. I specialize in the water attribute and have no use for it. I'll give it to you." The bloodthirsty vine was a rank 2 inferior spirit plant. Its strength could only be considered above average among vines of the same rank. However, it had the habit of sucking blood and could sense the smell of blood. Once it came into contact with an injured demonic beast or cultivator, it would take the initiative to attack. The more blood it sucked, the stronger its vines would become. As long as it sucked enough blood, it could even take down a rank 2 superior spirit beast. Moreover, the bloodthirsty vine was poisonous. It could make humans and demonic beasts feel numb and their blood boil, making it easier for it to suck blood. The bloodthirsty vine was picky about its food. It was only interested in the blood of rank 2 demonic beasts or cultivators of the foundation establishment stage. It was not interested in the blood of rank 1 demonic beasts or cultivators of the qi refining stage. It was too lazy to take the initiative to attack, let alone ordinary people. This characteristic was very suitable for use around the transit station. It could be used to guard against demonic beasts and would not be a threat to the cultivators of the qi refining stage. Wang Daoyuan kept the 3 bloodthirsty vine seeds and threw the other seeds into the sawtooth vine wall. Using the entanglement technique, the dark red vines grew rapidly. In a few breaths' time, the vines had grown to 20 feet long. There were not many seeds. If he could not quickly form the wall and force the vines to bloom and form seeds, the seeds might not be able to germinate. He could only wait for the vines to bloom and form seeds before continuing to use the entanglement technique. Developing Linji Mountain was not something that could be done overnight. There was no need to rush. Seeing that he had finished arranging the bloodthirsty vine, Wang Shi took out a spirit beast pouch and asked, "Daoyuan, do you need spirit bees?" When a few disciples of the clan were traveling outside, they found a nest of wild spirit-seeking bees. They did not have the ability to take them down, so they reported it to the clan. "I personally went to wipe out the entire nest." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "There is no need for that. I have a type of spirit bee that is somewhat related to the Thousand Spirit sect. I do not dare to use it in front of others. It is better to keep these spirit-seeking bees for the clan to produce spirit honey. I have a method for the queen bee to recognize a master." After saying that, Wang Daoyuan handed a jade slip that recorded the method for the spirit bee to recognize a master to the 12th uncle. Although the spirit-seeking bees produced spirit honey of higher quality, no matter how good the grade 1 spirit honey was, it was not of much use to Wang Daoyuan. Currently, the only thing that was useful to him was the royal jelly. He used the spirit-chasing bees mainly to scout and search for treasures. In these two aspects, the spirit-chasing bees were much stronger than the spirit-seeking bees. The honey source in the space was limited. It was too wasteful to raise a group of useless spirit-seeking bees. With the spirit-chasing bees' domineering temperament, the spirit-seeking bees would be exterminated if they dared to snatch the honey source. Wang Shi took the jade slip and said, "Fine, then I will raise these spirit-seeking bees at the Jade Spring Peak. I have also delivered the vampiric vine to you. If there is nothing else, I will return to the Jade Spring Peak." After saying that, he left the Linji Mountain on his sword. Wang Daoyuan threw the remaining 3 vampiric vine seeds into the space of the spirit pearl and planted them in the white jade spiritual mulberry forest. The flow of time in the space of the spirit pearl was 40 times faster. Soon he would be able to harvest a large number of seeds. The entanglement technique could also become one of his trump cards, especially when dealing with beast hordes. After successfully setting up the E-wood withering formation and having the vampiric vine, the safety of the Linji Mountain was already guaranteed. When the spirit fields here were opened up, he could move some ordinary clansmen over to settle down. Not all of the land on the mountain was suitable for spirit fields. The areas that were not suitable for spirit fields could be planted by ordinary clansmen. The flat land at the foot of the mountain could also be turned into farmland by ordinary clansmen. It would not be difficult to settle 1,000 or 2,000 mortals within the range of the formation. Chapter 197. In order to cooperate with the development of Linji Mountain, the clan established the General Affairs Division in advance, which was temporarily managed by the first elder. They were responsible for the task of migrating the clansmen to Linji Mountain. The General Affairs Division naturally had to send someone to arrange the migration of the ordinary clansmen. The person who came was 16th Uncle Wang Shoutai. He was at the 7th level of Qi refinement and was in charge of the General Affairs Division. His cultivation talent was average and he didn't have any special skills. He was diligent in his work and had never made any contributions or mistakes. In the clan there were many clansmen like 16th Uncle. In the past they were usually in charge of some of the clan's less important businesses. With a meager monthly allowance they could marry a few wives and concubines. If they were lucky they could even have cultivator descendants. After the clan's reform, such clansmen were arranged to be in positions that didn't require strong personal ability, but needed to be sincere and steady. For example, the General Affairs Division only needed to follow the plan set by the elders and work step by step. There were people taking care of all aspects of Linji Mountain, so Wang Daoyuan didn't need to worry at all. What he needed to do was to repel the demon beasts that came to cause trouble. In fact, he didn't need to care about this matter. In order to complete its winemaking mission as soon as possible, the Thunder Ape ran to the surrounding spirit veins to search for the ingredients needed for winemaking. The key was that the other spirit veins were also occupied by demon beasts. Would the other demon beasts be happy if the Thunder Ape ran to other spirit veins? Every time the Thunder Ape went to a spirit vein, it would beat up the demon beasts that occupied it and then plunder the spiritual items. Rank 1 demon beasts weren't spared either. Wang Daoxing and Wang Daoyin used the nearby rank 1 demon beast to practice. The demon beasts within 300 miles of Linji Mountain were as obedient as their grandchildren. Not to mention that Linji Mountain was looking for trouble, they were already secretly happy that the people of Linji Mountain didn't find trouble with them. Before subduing the Thunder Ape, Yunyi was the one who caused the most trouble. Now that she had the Thunder Ape, Yunyi knew that she couldn't beat it, so she obediently did the transportation work. At the same time, she earned some rations. She needed 20 kilograms of roasted meat for every 1,000 miles. It grew up eating roasted meat and didn't like eating raw meat. It also had high requirements for the taste of roasted meat. Since he didn't need to care about anything, Wang Daoyuan focused his energy on improving his cultivation. After spending more than 3 years in Linji Mountain, his cultivation had reached the 2nd level of foundation establishment, and he was not far from the 3rd level. For most foundation establishment cultivators, even if they didn't consider minor bottlenecks, it would still take them 7 to 8 years to break through one level of cultivation. As a Penta Spirit Veins cultivator, it was not easy for him to have such a cultivation speed, even if he used a lot of resources. Over the past 3 years he had mainly focused on cultivation, and his talisman crafting and array formation skills had also improved. He had already become a level 2 spirit talisman master and a level 2 array master. In terms of alchemy, the 2nd generation blood jade ginseng had matured, and there were still 2 true essence fruits left. 2 cauldrons of foundation establishment pills produced 10 pills. The success rate had reached 50%. It had already reached the level of being able to refine Tier 3 medicinal pills. However, the Wang clan did not have the inheritance of a Tier 3 alchemist, and he did not have any Tier 3 spirit herbs, so he naturally could not refine them. In 3 years, more than 80 mu of spiritual fields had been opened up on Linji Mountain. The spiritual fields owned by the clan had almost doubled. There were also more than a dozen households, a total of more than 100 ordinary clansmen who had settled down here. They had opened up more than 300 mu of ordinary farmland on the northern mountain of Linji Plains. His 17th brother, Wang Daoheng, was still studying the spirit peach dews distiller's yeast. Because there was no golden jade peach, he couldn't be sure if the distiller's yeast recipe was correct. The Thunder Ape's mission to brew wine was still incomplete. It used to live in the depths of the sky/mountain range, where the variety of spiritual plants was much richer than outside. Many of the spiritual plants used to brew its wine could not be found outside. Wang Daoyuan had spent 3 years of leisure on Linji Mountain. His leisure days had come to an end. The Netherworld Sex Foundation Establishment Pill Auction, which was fixed once every 60 years, was about to begin. To show that they no longer had any foundation establishment pills, the Wang family had to bid for one and then give it to Wang Daoxing. In order to show that they were taking it seriously, the Wang family had to send at least 2 or 3 foundation establishment cultivators. Great-grandfather and 5th great-uncle did not care about family affairs. 8th uncle, 9th aunt and 2nd brother had reached foundation establishment relatively late. They were still at the 1st level of foundation establishment, so they were not intimidating. It would be best if he went with the 12th uncle. Also, Wang Daoxing had to be present. Wang Daoyuan had to bring Wang Daoxing and Yunyi away from Linji Mountain. With the Thunder Ape guarding this place, it was not a big problem. To be safe, he handed the Wood Withering Flourishing Array to 5th brother Wang Shuyi to guard. He also left a few superior grade level 2 spiritual talismans for 5th brother and Dao Yin. Without him around, the Thunder Ape would not listen to anyone. If the Thunder Ape went out to play and there were demonic beasts eyeing Linji Mountain, having a few superior grade level 2 spiritual talismans would be an extra layer of insurance. After settling the affairs of Linji Mountain, Wang Daoyuan and Wang Daoxing rode Yunyi back to Jade Spring Peak. After leaving Linji Mountain for less than 5 minutes, Yun Yi flew to Black Rock Peak. Black Rock Peak was about 3,000 feet tall. It was directly east of Jade Spring Peak and was only 20 to 30 miles away from the edge of the sky/mountain range. There was a small middle-grade level 1 spiritual vein on the peak. The entire mountain was covered in black rocks and there were very few trees. There was no suitable place to open up spiritual fields, only suitable for quarrying. It was also too close to the edge of the sky/mountain range and was often harassed by demonic beasts. It was very difficult to develop, so it had always been empty here. Yun Yi flew over Black Rock Peak. The peak of Black Rock Peak was only 60 feet away from Yun Yi. Just as she flew to Black Rock Peak, a black sword beam flew out from Black Rock Peak. Wang Daoyuan wanted to develop Black Rock Peak, so he had been using his divine sense to scan the entire mountain. The person who launched the sneak attack was good at hiding. His divine sense was also scanning the entire mountain, so he did not discover the person who launched the sneak attack in advance. However, when the person was about to attack, there was an obvious fluctuation of spiritual power, which was immediately detected by him. Wang Daoyuan could be considered a veteran. Under such circumstances, it was simply too late to instruct Yun Yi to dodge. He could only take this attack head-on. He instantly took out 2 superior-grade level 2 earth armor talismans that he carried with him and stuck them on Yun Yi. The enemy was unprepared. It was already too late for him to use a powerful spell. He could only use the golden saber technique to attack the black sword beam. Soon the black sword beam collided with the golden saber technique. The golden saber technique was directly broken without even a sound. After the black sword beam broke the golden saber technique, it attacked Yun Yi's abdomen. Fortunately, there were 2 layers of superior-grade level 2 earth armor talismans protecting her. The black sword beam only dimmed the first layer of earth armor. Yun Yi cried out in pain. It was not a big deal. Wang Daoyuan urged Yun Yi to fly forward quickly, further away from Black Rock Peak. Only when they were more than 300 feet away from Black Rock Peak did he let Yun Yi stop. The person who launched the sneak attack could not break the superior-grade level 2 earth armor talisman. He should only be a middle-stage foundation establishment cultivator. This place was only about 100 miles away from Linji Mountain. With such a person who was good at sneak attacks, the safety of Linji Mountain was not guaranteed. He had to find a way to get rid of this person. Taking out the shocking wind sword, he left Yun Yi's back and flew into the air. He ordered Yun Yi to fly 10,000 feet high and return to Jade Spring Peak with Wang Daoxing. There were no tall mountains nearby. Flying high in the sky, he was not afraid of being attacked. With Yun Yi's speed, flying at full speed, a late-stage foundation establishment cultivator would not be able to catch up. As long as it was not a sneak attack, even if there were assassins chasing after it, they would not be able to do anything to it. He also told Wang Daoxing, "No need to get anyone to save me. The other party's strength is not enough to take me down." After Yun Yi flew far away with Wang Daoxing, he shouted towards the top of Black Rock Peak, "Sneaky scoundrel. His cultivation is clearly above mine, but he only dares to launch sneak attacks and does not dare to fight me head-on. Could it be another one of Blood Shadow's bugs?" Hearing this, a trace of spiritual energy fluctuation appeared in the pile of rocks below. A voice sounded, "You know Blood Shadow?" Chapter 198. Wang Daoyuan replied, "I've dealt with them a few times and they're all the same as you. They're clearly so much stronger than me, but they don't dare to fight me head-on. Who else could it be other than Blood Shadow?" The ambusher said, "You're not Blood Shadow's employer and you know about them. You're dead for sure." A man in black flew out from Black Rock Peak on his sword. He was wearing a long black cloak. He even wore a hat on top of the cloak that covered his face. Even the flying sword under his feet was black. His cloak could even block out divine sense. No wonder he couldn't find him when he was scouting Black Rock Peak earlier. With this outfit, it was really not easy to find him hiding on Black Rock Peak that was filled with black rocks. Wang Daoyuan used the heaven-peering technique to check on this man in black and found that he was at Foundation Establishment Level 5. Although Blood Shadow's people were all top-notch in ambushes and their ability to fight head-on was like child's play. But the opponent was a mid-stage Foundation Establishment cultivator after all. He couldn't let his guard down. The man in black flew towards him on his sword. He first used 2 superior grade 2 earth armor talismans on himself and then took out the 5 dragon soul chasing whip. When the man in black was close enough, he lashed out with the whip. The man in black controlled the flying sword under his feet and released a black sword light. The force from Wang Daoyuan's whip collided with the black sword light and both dissipated. Wang Daoyuan struck out 3 times in a row, frightening the black-clothed man. He couldn't block such a fast attack. The man in black hurriedly dodged the force and turned to fly towards Black Rock Peak. The man in black's sword was not as fast as his wind shock sword. As expected, Blood Shadow's people were still as weak in head-on fights as before. The man in black fled to Black Rock Peak and used the huge rocks to hide. Wang Daoyuan's 5 dragon soul chasing whip really couldn't do anything to him. With 2 layers of earth armor on him, the man in black couldn't kill him in one blow. He could take his time to play with him. He caught a peak chi refinement cultivator alive earlier, but he knew too little. This mid-stage Foundation establishment assassin had some status in Blood Shadow and should be able to get some secret information. If he could capture him alive, he would try his best to capture him alive and refine him into a clone to spy on Blood Shadow. After Wang Daoyuan entered the Foundation establishment realm, his chi-refining doppelgangers were no longer of much use in strengthening his spiritual sense and cultivation base. Sooner or later he would have to replace them with Foundation establishment doppelgangers. A middle-stage Foundation establishment clone had a strong enough effect in nurturing a divided soul. Wang Daoyuan landed on the Black Rock Peak and used the heaven-peering technique to search for the location of the black-clothed man. It had to be said that the black-robed man's attire was really good at blocking divine sense. Under the situation where he didn't cast any spells, Wang Daoyuan could only detect him when he was more than 30 meters away from him when he used the heaven-peering technique. For a Foundation establishment cultivator, a distance of over 10 zhang was nothing. Every time Wang Daoyuan detected him, he would sneak up on him with a sword beam and then quickly flee. His escape speed was especially fast. While Wang Daoyuan was receiving and dodging, he could use the rocks to cover himself. Without using spiritual power, he could quickly escape from Wang Daoyuan's divine sense detection range. Wang Daoyuan released the soul-chasing bees to search for the black-clothed man. However, this person seemed to have an extremely brilliant chi-concealing technique. Even the soul-chasing bees couldn't detect him. At that time his interest was piqued. As long as he refined this black-clothed man into a clone, all the good things would be his. The stronger the enemy, the more excited he was. Of course, the premise was that he could kill the enemy. He liked the people of Blood Shadow more and more now. Other than sneak attacks, they didn't have anything else to show. This was putting the cart before the horse. They always wanted to play all kinds of tricks, hoping to achieve the goal of defeating the enemy in one blow, but neglected the ability to face the enemy head-on. Little did they know that strength was the absolute truth. Strength to meet force with force was the absolute truth. This group of people relied too much on sneak attacks, just like how he relied too much on talismans in the past. In the end, when he met Zhao Baogua, he was beaten to the point that he couldn't even take out a talisman and had to rely on the cloud escape to save his life. If this black-clothed man used martial arts to increase his strength, he might not be his match, let alone force him to not dare to show his face. He released the golden wings and observed with his naked eye in the sky. He didn't withdraw the soul-chasing bees, but released another 5,000 soul-chasing bees. There was no perfect hiding in the world. This black-clothed man had already done a good job, but there were still flaws. As long as he used spiritual power, he couldn't hide from his divine sense. The black-clothed man's outfit perfectly blended with the black rocks of Black Rock Peak. It was extremely difficult to discover with the naked eye. If he didn't move, the golden wings couldn't find him. However, as long as he dared to move, he definitely couldn't hide from the golden wings' eyes. Even if he didn't move, with more than 5,000 soul-chasing bees slowly searching, how could they not find him? The soul-chasing bees quickly surrounded the entire mountain, carefully searching every inch of it. Wang Daoyuan also used the golden rock wrestling dragon technique. The golden rock phantom flew in the air. As long as it found the black-clothed man's trace, it would directly use its feather blade to attack. The flying speed of the feather blade was faster than the force of the long whip, and it could shoot out multiple feather blades at the same time. The only drawback was that the attack range wasn't far. The effective killing range was only 70 to 80 feet, which was less than 100 feet of the long whip force. After 30 breaths, suddenly an Earth attribute's spiritual power fluctuation appeared 50 feet behind him. He controlled the golden rock phantom and flew towards the place where the spiritual power fluctuation came from. He also sent out 2 feather blades. The black-clothed man's cultivation technique should be of the metal attribute. There was no trace of Earth attribute's spiritual power in the sword light he sent out. At this time, the sudden appearance of Earth attribute's spiritual power fluctuation was very likely to be due to the use of Earth attribute talismans, such as the Earth Escape Talisman. Wang Daoyuan used the earth-shaking technique and a shock wave spread to the entire mountain with him as the center. There was only a scream and the Earth attribute's spiritual power fluctuation instantly disappeared. Sure enough, he was using the Earth Escape Talisman. The earth-shaking technique he obtained from Zhang Deshang was especially effective against Earth Escape. He immediately used the Cloud Escape technique and rushed to the place where the scream came from. There was a pile of ash on the ground. It should have been left behind when the Earth Escape Talisman was destroyed. There were also a few drops of blood on the ground. It should have been caused by the feather blades. Since the black-clothed man was injured, it would be easy to deal with him. He took out 20 vampiric vine seeds and used the entanglement technique. In a dozen breaths' time, the vampiric vine had grown to 20 feet long. He didn't use his divine sense to guide the attack. Instead, he used his wood attribute's spiritual power to let the vampiric vine find its target. After being injured, the black-clothed man immediately tried to dodge, but he didn't dare to use his spiritual power. He could only rely on his legs to dodge, and he also had to use the rocks to block the golden rock's vision. He couldn't run far. The vampiric vine quickly followed the path he took. After a few breaths' time, he saw a black-clothed man jump out from a crack in the rocks. The black-clothed man sent out several sword lights, cutting down many vampiric vine. After the vampiric vines were cut down, it quickly grew more branches and continued to attack the black-clothed man. The golden rock didn't stay idle either. It continuously attacked the black-clothed man with its feather blades. At this moment, the black-clothed man already had more than 10 wounds on his body. The black-clothed man wanted to use his sword to escape, but the golden rock wing descended from the sky and aimed at his neck. The golden rock wing's innate skill was called Wing Slash. Once it was used, its wings would become as sharp as blades. Coupled with its extremely fast flying speed, it was easy to kill a Foundation Establishment cultivator who used sword kinesis flight. If the black-clothed man's neck was hit by the Wing Slash, his head would definitely fall to the ground. Helpless, he gave up on using his sword to escape and landed on the ground. How could the vampiric vine let go of this heaven-sent opportunity? Dozens of vines immediately wrapped around the assassin. Soon after, the soul-chasing bees swarmed over and surrounded the assassin. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.